Hi everyone, in this video we're going to create a full responsive React website from scratch. So this is actually the website we're going to be working on. It's called Bima and I'm going to be creating it from scratch with different sections and with smooth scrolling working on and everything else. So it's clear to see here, this is actually the design or the final preview of the website I'm going to be creating later on. And if you haven't noticed, it's pretty much I created a video tutorial in the last week or just like before this one is designing this website from scratch using Figma. So if you want to change it or just take a look on the design, you can watch this video tutorial. You're going to find it down in the description and yeah, you can get started. So we're going to turn this design, the Bima company design there, just take it from the ground up and turn this design into this full React application using like the full source code. So yeah, hope you guys like enjoy the video tutorial. If you like this kind of video tutorials, please just push that like button because I spent a lot of time coding this. Also, make sure to subscribe because more video tutorials are coming like this if you like them. And tell me more what you actually guys like in the description. I'll be very happy to check it out. But without further ado, guys, just gonna preview the video or the actual website. So you're seeing here, there's actually the landing page with a really cool looking background and stuff like that going on in the background. Also with the smooth scrolling, as I said before. So if you click this one, it's clear to see we get this smooth scrolling. We go to like the services section. We can scroll the way down to see like more reviews, like what people are saying about our company. And reviews actually have like rules, so we can go like, you know, we can change between the reviews, or you can even have like this drag and dropping thingy, like where you can drag them and you can go over them. I already disabled it. But anyhow, so this is pretty much the crucial thing. You can have over the reviews, then you get like more about Bima section to see what is Bima with cool illustrations and stuff like that. And last but not least, we got the footer. So this is pretty much the footer where all the magic happens, and pretty well made up designed footer with all the links needed, privacy policy, contact, and stuff like that. And if you take a look on the pretty much responsive design, if you expect the website, I don't know, for some reason I need to refresh it to get it back again with a buggy thingy. But here I see I'm running an iPhone X template, and yeah, it's pretty responsive, so it looks pretty great. We got all the kind of text in here, looking absolutely amazing with the services, images and stuff like that. And we got like the reviews thing. It's clear seeing the mobile now it works and it gets up only one single card, so we can drag and drop, or you can use this one. And definitely here we got the illustration like what is Bima and why you should choose Bima and stuff like that. And last but not least, we got pretty much again the footer, which is fully responsive and fully working. So yeah, if you want to just like create this kind of video tutorial or pretty much this kind of website, yeah, just continue watching. I know it's quite a long video, but yeah, hope you guys enjoy the video tutorial. So right now, let's go ahead and get started and set up the environments we're going to be working on and just install all the dependencies we're going to be needing for this React application. So as clearly seen here, I've already created a project using create React app or CRA, CLI of course, just for simplicity and making things go faster. But if you don't know how to create a project, just pick up CRA and just do like npx, use npm from pretty much the network without installation. So do npx and do create React app and name your project like smooth React website or something, and you are pretty much good to go for the website projects. So create React app is going to do all the dependencies installation for you, all the heavy lifting for you, create the projects, and well done. So this is all you need to be caring about in that particular terms. So all you need to do is just open up Visual Studio Code, whatever code editor you preferably need to work with throughout the projects, of course, and just like, you know, you've got all of that. So I've already gone and added a couple of like folders. I've added some components and a marginer components which are going to be used throughout this. The reason why I did that or pre-added that because I don't want to waste time with that particular component, and we're going to be needing it a lot throughout the projects. So yeah, you got the code in here. You're going to find it on GitHub on the repository. You can grab it and you can play with it. But we're going to only explore and try to demonstrate throughout this tutorial only the important parts and try to go through and explain only the important parts in order to build a real world React website with smooth scrolling. So here we got also a containers folder. So this containers folder is going to have all the pages for our application. And also here the components is going to have only the standalone or stateless components. All of them are going to be put inside of here. And as we all know, this is actually the assets. So yeah, I've gone and downloaded. If you needed the assets, you can just go ahead into Bima, the figma.com. You're going to find a link in the description below. So yeah, this is the design I'm going to be working on, and going to be transferring this design from Figma design into a real world interactive React website with smooth scrolling, as we talked about it. So yeah, as I said before, you can go ahead into here and you can pretty much download all the logos, all the images you need, all the assets you're pretty much going to be working with through the entire project. So just download them, place them inside of like an assets folder or something, and yeah, you are good to go to get started. So we've got illustrations, logos, and pictures right into this folder. So super cool. Now, first things first, since we're here, we're going to be looking into this design a lot, and we're going to just like inspire from the design, see what we need to do, then we build it through our code. So this way you can like, you know, take the way of just turning design into a real world website. You pretty much learn how like a real world developer does the job behind the scenes, and everything pretty much you're going to be seeing everything throughout this tutorial. So again, guys, yeah, just like for the 1,000th time actually pretty much saying this, so if you like this video, please you can share it, because I find like a lot of people watching my videos are not subscribed. So as well, if you love my videos and want to watch more, just go ahead and push that subscribe button. Yeah, gonna help me a lot, putting in a lot of content. And as well, push that like button. They're gonna just like give me a thumbs up to make more pleasant, elegant videos like this. But without further ado, so let's just jump back into the project here. We got the containers as we talked about it. Now inside of here, we're going to be creating a folder. So this is actually going to be our home page folder. So this is going to be the home page, as the folder name says. I'm going to have index.gsx. And the reason I put GSX because it stands for JavaScript and XML, and it uses, it tells Visual Studio Code that we're going to be using React inside of this file. So just name it this way, index.gsx. And voila, so that's all we need to be doing. Now let's first go ahead and import React. So yeah, we got React here. We're just gonna export the components. We're gonna all work throughout this project with functional components and using hooks, of course, if you need it, but most likely you won't need that. So yeah, just going to be using functional components because that's the new paradigm, the new programming style for like, you know, upcoming React applications and nowadays React applications. So yeah, you can just go in through all this. Here we got the home page. So as I said before, we're going to take up props, and yeah, simple as that. Now inside of the app.js in here, we're just going to be placing our home page code. So I'm going to be saying home page. And yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and export this and import that here. We can just go ahead and return div hello world. Yeah, I know I mistyped hello world, but it doesn't really matter. Now I'm just going to run the application using yarn start, which is a script that allows us to start this or start the development server. Sorry about this. And there you go. So we got hello world, which is mistyped, by the way. But anyway, so yeah, this is actually, we got the first setup, we got everything working pretty much fine. Now let's just get started by working out throughout this application. So this is actually the toppest thing, is actually the navigation bar, which means we're going to be working on this. You usually work on the navigation bar first, but for this particular design, I'm going to be working on the container with this like background image and everything else behind it first. Then we're just going to be creating the background or the navigation bar components later on. So we're going to be starting by putting this container down, and the like background image, the logos, this motivational text, and the pretty much the buttons, and this arrow down button thingy, which is going to allow us to navigate between sections of the website, because obviously from the title of this video, we are pretty much going to create like a smooth scrolling website, which means like having a couple of sections and we can just scroll through all of these sections. So you got the points for that. So jumping back into the next section right here, what we're going to be having is the homepage. Yeah, we talked about this before. So I'm going to be using styled components, and for all the setup of the application, we need to install a couple of things to get started. So here goes the first node thingy. Let me just clear out of that because we don't need them really. And also let me clear out this. Now let's install the dependencies. So the dependencies we're going to be needing throughout the project is actually styled components. So make sure to install site components first. We're also going to be using React Scroll. So React Scroll is actually a module that allows us to integrate smooth scrolling into our React application. And last but not least is actually pure React carousel. And this can allow us to like use a slideshow thingy components ready-made from us from the Express team behind the Node.js Express framework. So yeah, they got this really awesome library that helps us to do that. Anyhow, so this is all you need to be installing for now. As simple as that to get started and just jump into your feet. After you install them, I already did the installation, everything goes fine. So yeah, make sure to install them and get back to me. Now, the point in here we're going to be using is actually, I'm going to be creating the container of our homepage thing. So obviously, this is actually the homepage container. And what we want is actually only the top container. As we talked about it, we're going to have a couple of sections, which means we're going to have like the top section, then we're going to have like the content section, with the middle section in here, and we're going to have like what others says section, more about Bima section, and last but not least actually the footer. So yeah, we can have them this way to have or integrate smooth scrolling into our application through our multiple sections. So to do so, I'm going to be creating another component for a completely different module. I'm going to just like name it top section .gsx, and yeah, this one is going to be doing the same. So I'm going to import, let me type this. So import React from React as we do always, and export a function normally top section. So props. And we got our top section in here. Now for the top section, we're going to be creating the style for the top section, which means I'm going to do like top container, and I'm going to be using styled components. So I'm just going to make sure to import styled. I'm just going to do div as normal as that. It's pretty simple. And I'm just going to make sure it takes the full width and with 100% of virtual height. So it gets like 100% of virtual height. Make sure to use virtual height because it uses whatever available at first when the page loads, which means once if you have like a 1080p screen or like a 4K screen, once your page loads up, it's just going to take the full height, which means the full virtual height that takes only the viewports of the client. Then when he scrolls down, it just pretty much disappears. So yeah, this is only what it means by the VH here, or the virtual height. And so yeah, for the top container, this is pretty much all we need to be doing. For padding, we don't need any padding, so I'm just going to make it 0. Now what we're going to be having throughout this is I think for the top container, so I'm going to be having a background. So yeah, we're going to be including the background image. So you just clearly see where is that. Okay, so this is actually the background image in here, and we need to put first in the background. So we can grab it from the assets. Let me just quit that real quick. And we got pictures. I think it is in a company team. All right, yeah, we got it right. So let's go ahead and import this, and CRA or React App CLI does the configuration for us perfectly in order to be able to embed images into our application just from like using the import or the JavaScript import. Sorry for the microphone, I just like mishit it. But anyhow, here I'm going to be importing, so background img from, I'm just going to go back again, assets, okay, then we got pictures, and we got company team. Super cool. So we got the background image right here. Now we can of course include this throughout the CSS in JS, and just by embedding this using the $, then 2 curly braces, open and closed curly braces, just put them between those and you got the background. So I'm just gonna have a background image tag, and yeah, voila, you should do the job right now. So I'm just gonna try to render out this, and you can do top container, and we can just put there some text like a boom or something. Now we're going to start off like homepage component, and make sure to let's go and first create like a homepage kind of like a container for it. So I'm just going to do homepage. I'm just going to name it page container. So pretty simply use style components again, And of course, I'm going to be using the same thing. So same width and same height. Now, one more thing you need to be noticed before actually creating like smooth scrolling applications or web pages is you have to do some tricks on your CSS. So if you go into index.css, you have to actually choose box sizing to be border box. Otherwise, all your border boxes, your margins and paddings will be messed up. The second thing you need to think about is actually put the body and the HTML tags to have a margin of 0. So you have 0 margins and you won't ruin your designs pretty much. Pretty simple. Now jumping back into here, the page container, and yeah, we got the height and we got the width. So also I might include like a display of a flex and a flex direction of a column. I'm going to be using Flexbox a lot throughout this tutorial, so yeah, you need to know about basics of Flexbox and how it works before jumping back and forth. So this is actually the home page. I'm just going to like use the page container, and right now I'm going to be including the top container, or the top section pretty much. Yeah, always misspelling things. Anyhow, we can jump back into the browser, and oh, we got nothing. I don't know, but the image does not display right. And okay, so we got background image, top container here. Yeah, we should be using the URL, so basic CSS stuff, and I totally messed that up with it. But yeah. Okay, so we have to include the background. I think I misspelled the background or something. I don't know. There you go. So now we got the background working absolutely fine. But as clearly see the difference in here, this one is dimmable, or just like dimmed out with this dark finish thingy. And here it's just like super clear. We don't want this super clear thing because we want to display some logo above it and some just like text above it. So we have to do a couple of tricks to make things happen or works the right way we expect it to be. So we're going to create a filter in here. I'm just going to name it background filter. And the thing I like about actually style components, it actually let you do you know, custom styles and just write it the best way you like without just like putting all these nested CSS styles inside of a single file, and just like it makes things look rubbish. So this is way much more readable and way much more maintainable. So yeah, I love style components. Yeah, so we got the background filter in here. So the filter, it will make it take the full height of the parent, which is in this case is actually the top container. So full width with full height. I don't know why this makes it. It's like there's a VS Code bug there, but anyway. And I'm going to be using a background. So for the background here, I'm going to be using a background color. And then just jump back into our design. I'm going to be copying this background. I'm going to go to inspect, if you don't know that, and just like copy the CSS code there, and just copy the RGBA code, and boom, it should work right now. So I just need to include the background filter right inside of this, and we can have then boom inside of that. So if you go back, voila, so we got way much more better looking thingy. And I think I can demo this a bit more by just like increasing that style and just making this like 55, 55, and 55 all over the way. So yeah, I think it looks a little bit better. But anyway, so now we got the demoable thing. So you're seeing that the text still looks or stays on the top pretty much. So we got the full container. As you clearly see, it takes the full height. So if you add like contents beneath this, you're gonna see this how the effect pretty much works. We will see this as we progress furthermore later on in the tutorial. But for now, let's just jump and add some logos. So we're going to be adding this middle logo with this Bima text and all the motivational text and the buttons. So for the logo, I'm going to be creating a custom components for it. So because it's going to be reusable, I'm going to be using it later on throughout the footer in here. So which means we're going to be doing the same thing. I'm just going to put it on a spare components. So I'm just going to go to components, and I'm going to create a new folder. And I'm just going to name it logo, okay? So simply as the logo, I'm just going to name index.jsx. And there you go. So I'm just going to import the React. And later on exports okay, function, which is going to be the logo. I'm going to add some props. Alright, so now for the logo, what we need to do is actually grab the picture, just display it and display beneath it some Bima texty thingy. So I'm just gonna do here like logo img, and this is actually gonna be the style components thing. I'm gonna use an image, by the way, and with the width of this, I'm just gonna use something like 8 em with a height of 8 em as well. So same width and same height for both. Also here we're going to be importing the actual image of the logo, so I'm just going to import Bima logo from, so go back to, I think you have to go back once, then go to logo, and I'm just going to use the logo cropped because it is perfectly cropped. I already did that. You can pretty much grab this from Figma. It has already been cropped on the design provided in the link below in the description. So yeah, you can easily access this. Here actually the image, and so we don't need to do anything else. Now let's create the actual text, the Bima text. So I'm gonna just do logo text, and this one is gonna be something like I'm gonna use H1, or I don't think it's actually a really good job, so I'm just gonna use div for this one, for this particular case only. It's not best for SEO, but yeah, it still does the job perfectly in that case. And here I'm gonna use a font size of, I don't know, let's check out the font size we got here. So I got Bima is kind of for the design 52, so it could do like let's minus 10 pixels, I can do 40 pixels. And for the color, now the interesting part of the color, what you need to do is actually include it separately, or the color palette, the main theme colors and everything, all the variables, you can pretty much include them or add them into a common file. Then you can reuse them throughout the whole application, which makes it super easy for you to use and set up. And for this, I am actually gonna create something. Well, let's see where it's gonna be creating this is. I'm just gonna go create on components, or more likely just in the src. I'm gonna name this like, okay, I'm just gonna name this theme.gsx, or just simply JS because it's a JS file. I'm gonna export const theme equals something like this, just an object, and it has a primary color. Now let's grab the primary color of this text in here, and I think the button is actually having a better text color. So I can grab this, just put it there, make sure to add the thingy there to make it a hexadecimal color value, and boom, super cool. So you can include that. Now I can grab theme, and I can say primary color. Pretty awesome. So not much of complicated things happens. And I'm also going to do margin top about like 6 pixels to the top, and it should do the job perfectly. Now let's return the logo image, or pretty much I should actually be a container. So let's do like logo container. For this, gonna have a div, and we're gonna have like alright, so we don't need the width, just like need to display flex and flex direction of a column. Pretty simple. Now just use the logo container again, and simply you're going to be using logo image, and since this is actually an image, I'm going to be including Bima logo, and here we got logo text, and simply going to have Bima. So fair enough. So that's pretty simple for creating a reusable logo component. And we can jump back into the top section components, and we can just paste it right here. But let's first go ahead and make this to use flex block. So make sure to display flex, and flex direction to be used column. And let's just center all the things into like horizontally. So which means I'm going to be using in here align items equals to center, and it should do the job perfectly in that case. So I'm just going to include logo. And yeah, so jumping back into here, and there you go. So we got our logo, but the text in here doesn't look that really good. Since in the design we're actually using Roboto Sun fonts, so here's actually, and you can grab it from Google API or Google Fonts servers. Well, I already did that, so there's actually index.css, and there you go. So we got here, we got all of them like regular, black, and pitch black, So you can grab that and do the same thing in your CSS file. Fair enough. So right now let's change the logo thingy. Okay, so go to logo text, and let's just change the font weight to something like black. Okay, which is super bold. And you go back in here, refresh. For some reason it doesn't really work. I don't know. It actually should. I think I'm not actually importing the CSS file. Yeah, indeed. So make sure to go ahead and import. Am I importing it? I don't know. Let me just double check that. So index.js. And yeah, it's being imported in the index.css. So everything should be looking as expected, but I'm not quite sure about this. Let me just double check that. So let me use the inspector. So real quick, we got the console. The sources. Should pretty much, let's check out the body. It should use a font family for Bordeaux. Curious if I change it, it just like goes off, but I don't know why it's not being affected. Anyhow, so font weight, bold. Okay, yeah. Is there nothing like? Okay, that makes sense. Anyway, let's just jump back. I can. So there's actually the logo. Let's use numbering thing. So I can do 900 for a complete black thing, and that's what we get from that. I think 700 would do a better job. I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it 900. Okay, it makes much more sense to me. Cool. Right now, let's go ahead and add some margin between the top of the page. So we can easily do that using our marginal components. So that actually the necessity of this, and you can pretty much provide to either horizontal margin or vertical margin, and you can provide the value of the margin you want to provide either in pixels or am, or just like provide a number, which is pretty cool. But yeah, anyway, so let's just jump back into the top section. And here actually we got the logo, so we add some margin in here. I'm just going to use the margin of components, and make sure to use the direction of vertical, because we're going to insert a margin in vertical, and it can do a margin of, I don't know, 4 or 5 em. It actually depends. Let's refresh that. I don't know why it's stuck. It's not doing reload, but there you go. So we got bmain here. Still, I can use a little bit more, like 7. Yeah, let's see. So I think 7 could do the job, or even 8 can do a better job. Yeah, I think 8 will do a perfect job in that particular case. Now let's add some motivational text, which is, you know, both of these like software development for the best in the industry. So yeah, we can add that real quick throughout the text. So let's create another component using styled components, of course. And I'm going to be naming this like motivational. So text, I'm going to use the styled. I'm going to be using h1 for this particular case. I'm going to make sure margin is 0, because h1 mostly has a lot of margin on the top and the bottom. So just override this to 0, make it much better. And yeah, we can use the font size. I don't know. Let's check out the font size on the pretty much design. And here we got like 43, which means we're going to have something like 33 pixels or something. And the font weight will be something like medium. Does it? I think it will do better in bold. And for the color is just FFF for complete white, and yeah, it's goodish. So we got logo in here, and we can use some marginer to do the job actually. So I can do direction, still vertical, and for the margin I can use something like 2M. Motivational texts, we can put software development, and we can just copy the same thing in here. It goes right here from the best in the industry. Super cool. If we go and jump it back and check it out, yeah, it looks cool anyway, but I need to like decrease the weight of the text, which means making this medium again. And sometimes, I don't know, the development server gets broken or something. Okay, let's try like some numbers. 500. I think a 500 would do a better job in that terms. I think I can do like a 43 pixels, and as well I can use some like line height. I can use 1.5 of line height to have some height, which is 1.4. Okay, I think it's much better. Let's choose bold again. I don't know. I'm still not quite sure about this, but I think 500 would do the job for the font weight in here. And yeah, so from the design perspective, let's add a little bit of margin between like the logo, so we can do 4 AM. And I think it does a perfect job. Now let's go and add the button. Of course, this green button that allows the client actually to start its own projects and submit the application for, you know, Bima, the software team, to get started working on his projects or their projects pretty much. So that's actually the button I'm going to be working on. I'm going to be using a reusable components because as you see in here, the button actually has been used throughout a lot of places throughout the application. So on top of the navigation bar, of course, here on the top container, and lastly we got it used on the footer. So yeah, we don't want to just like re-type the same code over and over, so no duplicates in here and there. So it's pretty great to do reusable components, especially in React, because the whole React system is actually built around making reusable components alive again. So that's actually a great point to get started working and become a better developer or a better coder. So yeah, let's go and add this using our components thingy. So let me just collapse the assets, go components, make a new component called button. So index.jsx. I'm going to import the same thing, React. Make sure to always import React. Export a function, it's going to be our button. So we're going to go props. Now let's create actually the button thing or the button components, use style components, and add some custom CSS style to it. So actually button container, or let's name it button wrapper better much. It better describes it. So style.button. And yeah, so voila, let's add some padding first. So we want to do like 7 pixels on top and bottom, and around 14 pixels from the sides. I think 15 will do a better job. Also border radius of, let's check out the border radius actually. I think we have something, yeah, 5 border radius from the side, so 5 pixels of border radius. And as well, we can use actually the color, so I can do background dash color. Can use the theme color we already did use, so we can do primary. And last but not least, we can have FFF for the pretty much text color, and as well for the font weight, we can do something really great. So from the design perspective, we got I don't know, like 22 for that font size. Also, we got a bold, so we can use the same thing like bold. And for the font size, I can use something like 70 pixels, or even I think 16 pixels would do a better job with that perspective. So let's save that. Let's just go and like return the button. So button wrapper, and we can pretty much use props.children to include whatever text we want to include throughout this button, and it makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Yeah. Super cool. So for the button as well, you might also want to provide some props to it. So if you like want to pass in an on-click handler or any other custom attribute for a specific HTML button or anything like React event handler, yeah, you need to make sure to like pass the props using the ES6 syntax in order to be able to pass in props from like the parent into the actual button wrapper there to make things work. So here we're going to be using another marginer again in direction, so vertical, and I can use a margin, I don't know, let's check out this. I can use a margin of 2 AM, I think, and we can include the button. So for this we can do start your own project. Pretty cool. And yeah, it's curious in here still like some borders and some outline actually whenever we click on it, which isn't pretty great to be honest. So we can pretty much fix that using the CSS style. So simply do like outline equals none. And we want to add some like hover color whenever we go and hover over it with the mouse. We're gonna have like some transparent background with like little borders comes in, which makes like a perfect choice for that particular case. So all we can do is just like use the hover selector, and whenever we click pretty much on that particular case, it's actually got like some hover effects over it. So what I'm going to be doing is actually take the background color. So I'm going to do background color to transparent, and also what I'm going to be doing is actually the border right now, just to make two pixels solid, and I'm going to use the theme color, so primary. So yeah, and also yeah, I think that's all. But if we just leave it with that particular style, so we're gonna have Oscillus in here. Yeah, it doesn't really look that good. But what we want is actually make sure to have the same border but in transparent. So make sure to do like transparent. Otherwise, it just like affects the width and height of the actual size, the overall size of the actual button. So yeah, make sure to do a transparent here, so it doesn't override it throughout the hover effect, if that makes sense pretty much. Also, we want to include some transition, so we can do transition all like 20 milliseconds and ease in and out to have a smooth transition between hover effects and just a normal. And there you go. So whenever we go into it, yeah, voila, it looks pretty great right now with this silly, nice kind of effect thingy. So yeah, overall it looks pretty damn good. Like finally just change the cursor into pointer to make it look or feel more like a clickable button. And yeah, so super cool. We got our button done. We got like most of the top container in here done. So checking back to the design, the last thing left is actually the down arrow that takes us beneath the top container or the top section, which means, yeah, this is actually a navigational arrow that takes us down. So for this navigational arrow we're going to be using is actually Font Awesome icons. If you're not familiar with Font Awesome, it's actually a great library, offers a bunch of icons and free and open source for you to use. Of course, they have like a premium package, but most of them are free to use, which is pretty great. And it has a pretty awesome React integration, to be honest. So yeah, we can all love and enjoy using this. So all I'm going to be doing, just like, I think for awesome here, so React Font Awesome, you can go to their GitHub profile. And yeah, so this is simply the profile we're going to be using. And all you need to do, just copy this text, add, and you got to just like make sure you install all the components needed throughout the free solid SVG icons and Font Awesome SVG core and the Font Awesome icons. So just copy out this, paste it right here, wherever you want to install it, of course. So let me just delete all of these and just, okay, where is the Control V? Just do paste. And just paste that all of it, install them, and you are ready to go. I already did that, I already installed it. And there's actually also another place, which is the Font Awesome cheat sheet. So you can grab all of that in Font Awesome cheat sheet in here, which allows you to pretty much copy like codes from here and you can use this. So the point what we're going to be doing is pretty easy actually. So I'm going to be creating another component, which is a reusable component. I'm going to be naming it so down arrow. I'm going to have index.jsx again. I'm going to have import React from React. Okay, let's move this filter. Export a function which is down arrow again. Now here for the down arrow, we're gonna have some like two components, since you pretty much notice that, where is this? So there's actually like a circular container first, which is a parent container, and there's the icon like underneath it, so, or contained inside of it, which means you're gonna just first go and create this ellipse in here, and I'm just gonna do like, so arrow container style.div, and let's check the width and the height. It's actually 50 pixels, so width is 50 pixels, and we can even have like 46 pixels. Okay, it does a good job. Okay, 46 pixels. And also what we can do is actually do border radius to have like a rounded circle, perfectly rounded circle, and make sure to use a 50% or more to have like this circular thingy shapey happening there. So we got border radius there, and the last thing, we actually need to introduce the background color. So I can quickly go and copy this background color using the inspects side, and we can just simply copy the RGB background effects. And yeah, so super cool in here. The last thing we need to ensure is actually using flexbox in order to center out the icon. So I'm just going to do flex, so justify contents to be in the center, align items to be the center as well. So we have them like horizontally and vertically centered. And the other thing here is actually the icon container. So, well, I don't know. I don't think okay, so icon. Okay, I don't know why the C is actually in copyright. So I've got style dots. Let's use a div. Anyhow, so I can do like a color of FFF and a font size of something. Let me just check out the font size of this. It's quite huge, I think. So there's a font size of 40 pixels. Let me change back. So 40 pixels for this font size, which means I'm going to be using 30 or less. There you go. Now just use this component. So I'm going to use arrow container. Then inside of it, I'm going to use like arrow down, or arrow icon pretty much. And inside of this, we're going to be using the font awesome component. So I'm going to use font awesome icon. Make sure to include it from font awesome, React font awesome. So yeah, do that and just use the icon in here to grab the icon. And the icon we use actually called fa, and it's actually angle down, not double, just down, and just include it. And of course, it is also being imported from FreeSalt SVG icons if you're looking for it. Yeah, I think that's all. All we need to do in here is pretty simple. Just because the icon in here where it looks, it's just a little bit down to the bottom, so it has this like going down effects over the user or the general user experience, a look and feel. So we can do that as well. So I can have something like margin top for about, I don't know, 4 or 3 pixels. I think 3 pixels would do perfectly the job. So I jump back to the subsection. We can go beneath that. We can have another margin or direction of vertical again. And yeah, there's actually, well, to be honest, it's better to use like an absolute positioning better than just doing some silly margins, which makes no sense. So for this to stay always on the bottom, what we can do is pretty much, yeah, we can just go ahead and like put an absolute positioning for this and just like put it down in the bottom. That, if that makes sense, it will be way much better in that particular case. So we can do that real quick here. And all I think about doing in this particular case, so let's see, I'm gonna have another container, so I'm gonna have like down, okay, down arrow container. styled div, and here I'm going to use position of absolute because, you know, I'm going to do absolute position. Okay, missing an I. And I'm going to have bottom of about like 20 pixels on the bottom. For the left, we're going to have like 50% because we want it to be centered. But, you know, the silly thing about CSS, when you do left 50% in an absolute position in system, what you need to do is actually translate it back by half of that, which is pretty weird to be honest, but that's how it needs to be now. So you have to do transform, then you translate X, then you do minus 50% in order to get it really centered down on the middle. And yeah, that should do the job, but the only thing we need to also use position relative in here, otherwise it won't work as expected. But yeah, nevertheless, so that's all we need to be doing. I'm just gonna use like down arrow container and just gonna down arrow components, just put it there and it should do the job perfectly. So let's see, where is that? Down arrow is not defined. Okay, I think it's not being included or something. Let me just change back in here. So slice styled, yeah, styled. I haven't imported styled, so I'll just do that real quick. Cool. Go back, and that's what we got. Pretty simple, and you know, down arrow is actually going all the way down, so it looks pretty neat to be honest. But I need to change a couple of things in here, like the font size to be about like 27 because it looks quite huge. I think 29 would do the job perfectly. Yeah, we haven't got that, but the only thing we need to be actually doing is changing or having this more interactive. So whenever we hover over the mouse, we have some cool effect over this. So we can have this here. We can do hover with border of like 2 pixels solid, and we can use the theme color as always and primary. But remember, so we have to always, whenever we do like or introduce a new border in here, make sure to use a transparent border before it on a normal state. So we can do 2 pixels solid transparent. And there you go. So we got this, but we need to also do some transition to it. So we can have all to 50 milliseconds and ease in and out. That should do perfectly the job that we wanted. And as clear as you have this super awesome border color effects. So yeah, it makes things much more interesting. We only need a couple of stuff before this. We actually are going to move this a little bit to the top, like 30 pixels to the top, or like by 5 pixels. We're also going to be doing actually changing this from to cursor pointer, so we have like more like clickish effects that are going to take us all the way down, so we can have this pretty awesome effect to be honest. And yeah, voila, so that's all about this. We got the actual button in here, we got like the Bima logo and everything. So the only thing left is actually the navigation bar on the top. So if you take a look on the design, so we got this navigation bar with some like logo, of course, we got Bima, you know, just alongside that, and we got the both login and getting started thingy happening in there. So let's jump back into the project and quickly add the navigation bar. So all I'm going to be doing is nav bar, and I'm going to have index.gsx inside of it, import React as always. And we got the navbar obviously here. So we can create a container, so navbar. So we can do style div, and you can take actually the full width and the full height in that particular case, and not all the full heights by the way. Yeah, just mistakenly said that. But if you take a look on the navigation bar, where is that? So this is actually navigation bar, and it has like a 70 pixels of height, which shouldn't be. It should only have, let's Let's just go with 65 pixels of height, and it should do the job perfectly. I can introduce some padding from, well, I'm not going to be doing it from the top, which means I'm just going to be doing it from the left and right, and it can do a better job in that case. So we can have only, let's use 1 EM from both left and right, and yeah, super cool. Let's use a display flex, so we can have like row flex direction, and it can do perfectly the job. Pretty cool. So now we got actually 2 containers to introduce. So the first container is actually we got the logo container, which should be going all the way to the left. Then we got this like accessibility container, which allows the user to access and get started and create an account or something, which goes all the way to the right. So yeah, you got the point. You have to create this and then use flex directions to put the space between both of these components and get this effects from here. So pretty simple. We can do like logo container, or we can do brand container, which is much better name for it. We can have a div, and we got like accessibility container. And for this, well, yeah, we got the login button and we got the get started button here. So yeah, it can do perfectly the job in that point of making this design looks the best way in the navigation bar. Now here's actually the problem. We got a logo components, but it does logo in a horizontal manner and it's way much bigger. Now we can use props to introduce a new style for this particular component. So we can jump back into our logo component, and we can go to pretty much the logo image and logo text and just add some props. So whenever we have got like an inline prop, we're going to change the direction from column to row. So I'm going to be checking this. I'm going to use styled in JS callback kind of props thing to be passed out. So if inline is introduced, so we're going to be doing it, it's like check if inline, if we're going to use row, otherwise we're going to use column. So that's the first thing. Also, we need to be doing it here, so I'm going to be copy paste it. And here, I'm not going to be doing the same way. I'm just going to introduce the new CSS, CSS function, which allows us to embed another CSS inside of the currently embedded CSS tag. So yeah, we can do the same thing in here, but I haven't actually included it. So include it, you can do the same. And for this, you can use a width and a height. Let me check out this logo. Right now, the width and the height is quite pretty simple. So I can do 60 pixels for the width, 60 pixels for the height. Super cool. And also in here for the flex direction, we don't only need, well, I think, yeah, that's pretty cool. We got row and column, everything okay. And here we have to check if it is online, then we do end with a CSS, otherwise it won't work as we expect it to be. And the last thing in here, also we need to be change the text. In other words, we need to change 2 things like the color and the well, pretty much the color and the font size. So we can do that real quick here. I'm just gonna use the color. So if it is inline, what we can do inline if for the color I'm just gonna use FFF, which is white. Otherwise, I'm just going to be using this dot primary, which is the usual color. The same thing goes in here. Okay, I can do inline again. And if it is actually inline again, I'm going to use, I don't know how many pixels actually in here. So let's check. There's 24. So I can use something like even 17 pixels or even 16 pixels. Otherwise, we can introduce 40 pixels as did before. And yeah, super cool. The last thing we need just to be doing is actually extract this prop. So we can do inline equals props just to distract it from the props object. And later on, we can pass it in throughout the image, the logo container, and everywhere. So we can do inline, and yeah, we can have inline in here. And lastly, we can just put it inside of the text. Now, if we go into the brand container, let me just check it out real quick. So let's just put the navigation bar container. Make sure to return this. We've got the brand container. So inside of the brand container, we can have logo, but instead we need to mark it out as an inline, okay? To get it work as we expect it to be. Now let's include the navigation bar inside of like top container, so our top section, better say. So we got the background filter, and yeah, so right here we need to include the navigation bar. Well, it should look perfectly as expected. Well, the logo is still a little bit too much, and we need a little bit more padding from the right and left corners, so we can do that right now. I think 2 AM would do a better job. If we go back to the logo, let me just save that real quick. Going back here, well, for the text, it's quite small, so I can make it goes 18 pixels, all right? Cool. Also, we might need, where is that? Okay, the logo, 60 pixels is a lot, so we can introduce like 20 pixels, I think. 25 pixels, okay? I think it looks identical right now. It looks way much better. I think 24 would do a better job in that particular case. And we can have some like margin from the, you know, this side. So we can include some like margin right to about 5 pixels. And well, let's use 6 pixels, I think. Yeah, super cool. Now it looks way much better. Let's go ahead and just center out this, and it should the way we expect it to be. So we're going back to the actual navigation bar component, and right here we can use the centering since we got display flex. So we can do justify contents, or we can use align items to center it vertically, and skadoosh. So we got that centered. Well, the only thing also here we need to be doing is actually center out this. So if it is actually inline, let's do, I think, so we can do like align items. So if it has actually the inline prop, let me just use that again. So if it has the inline prop, all we need to do is just do inline, and if it is inline, we can just center it horizontally, and skadoosh. Now the logo looks better. It's much better aligned, but we've got a lot of space, which means we need to decrease the actual height of the navigation bar. So we can do like 46 pixels. I think that definitely makes huge improvements. And as well, what I can also do is go and decrease that by just like a little tiny bit. So it kind of like, I don't know, it didn't do any kind of effect as I want it to be, but still it perfectly makes that sense of, you know, it works way much better right now. And we can also remove the margin of the text in here because it already still exists. So let me just copy that because I don't want to just retype this over and over again. So if it is inline, I'm just gonna use 0. Otherwise I'm gonna use 6 pixels. Pretty neat. Now everything is actually aligned with the logo, the image, and both the text, BMA, and everything. So yeah, for me it looks 100% better right now for this kind of navigation bar. The last thing we're going to be need to doing is actually adding this accessibility button. So we can use this button with the login button right here. So for the actual button right now, what we got is actually pretty neat button in here, but we don't have any stylus, so we can use as well props in order to decrease the size and decrease the font weight. So let me just go ahead and add this to the button real quick, and we can have it throughout props. Now props absorbs everything, so everything, all the props, we can get them inside of this button wrapper component. So all we need to be doing, let me just go into the font size. And I can actually check for the size. So we can have a size prop, and if this size prop exists, we can actually just simply use the size. And I'm just gonna do plus pixels, okay? Otherwise, I'm just gonna use 16 pixels for the font size. Okay, I think it looks better right now. If you go to the top section, or more likely go to the navigation bar, and this accessibility, so let me just do accessibility container and button, and I think the button gets started, okay? It says get started, so we can use that real quick, and well, I was curious just by adding it, so it's quite huge. And let's try the size prop we used. So we can do size, and if we can include like 13 of size. Well, it doesn't do perfectly the job as we want it to be, but still it does a better job though. So what I better think doing that's fitting for this. So going back to the button thingy, I'm just gonna get rid of this prop size. So it doesn't really make any sense. So I'm just gonna get rid of it. I'm gonna have another prop called small. So if small exists, what I'm gonna be doing, I'm just gonna introduce like 12 pixels or even 11 pixels, we'll see. And here as well for the padding, so let me just copy that real quick. So yes, I already wanted to copy it, I'll cut it. So we got small again. So if small exists, what I'm going to be like doing, I'm going to just decrease the top and bottom padding as well as the left and right. So which means in here I'm going to use we're using 7 to 15, which means I'm going to use right now like 3 pixels to 7 pixels, and right now just I'm going to use normally 7 to 15 pixels. I think that could do a better job, just introducing a small thingy. And yeah, it's not quite as you want it to be, so I can include 5 to 8, I think. Yeah, it just like makes a lot of sense, and now it looks way much better compared to how it was looking. So just right now, all we need to be doing is just taking it all the way to the right. And to do so, we can just go ahead and use the part of flex box. So I can do like justify content, and I can do space between. So it takes as much space as you want. So it leaves all of that space, but it just like, space between all the components. So we got all the space in the middle and only just like components on both the left and right sides. So yeah, looking pretty cool as a normal effect in here, just like a button for getting started, and we got beamer and everything, and still this doesn't look as I wanted, so I'm just gonna increase it to 50 pixels, and yeah, it looks way much better. So for login, we can just grab the same button here and apply a different CSS style. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing. All I'm gonna be doing, so I'll just have write it down. So I'm just gonna name it login button simply. I'm gonna use styled, and I'm gonna use or override the style of the current button. Now the current button, what it has, actually it has a background color and has this hover effect, but all you want is just keep the text in the pretty much in the center, just in white, and just apply just a really simple low hover effect, just like that simple muted gray hover effect to get it, just like more interactive style to it. So that's simply what I'm going to be doing. So for that, I'm going to use like the background. So I'm going to just do background color goes transparent, and border goes to none, obviously. As well, I'm going to be hovering this for like background color. So transparent, and as well, I'm going to be doing border as none. And the last thing that we're doing is actually a filter. I'm going to filter out the contrast. Or I think the better thing is just changing the color, so that'll give it more authenticity. I can use RGB color matching in here, and well, what I can do is 255. We can just decrease it a little bit, which means you can use 200, 200, 200, and I've got this color thingy that chooses the color for us. So I think this 199 it should do the job. Okay, pretty well made. Now, yeah, we got all of these happens to be working. So that's pretty simple what we need to be doing. Let's just gotta include that, just login button. And make sure to do small, just name login. And one more thing, you also need to be using the marginer components to introduce some margin between these. So you can do direction, horizontal right now, and we can have a margin of, let's see, design, well, margin of about 8 pixels, okay? I think it should do a better job. But right here on the accessibility container, so let's just change and introduce flex body into this. So we can do display flex direction to row. Alright, and yeah, as expected we want to be. It's quite too much grayish. So let's just change this color palette in here and just take it a little bit to the up corner. And it's skadoosh. It looks way much better right now. We got getting started, we got the login button on the top, and we got our Beamer logo from here. You can even just go ahead and yeah, you can add some like link to this Beamer and hover over it. It's not really necessary, but it makes things look a little bit more professional from a side of a company or a cooperative website, you know, that sells services. So you have to deeply take care of just like all the small details of your website that you're gonna like represent and mirror what you do as your service, since of course this is a software development company. So yeah, you got the point what I mean. Now let's jump and create more sections, because the first section or the top landing page section has been done. Now what we want is actually whenever we click on this button, it takes us in a smooth scrolling manner, takes us all the way down, and just like we can visit the second section. So therefore what we can do is going to create the best quality, or like what I call the services section, that you can pretty much throughout this website or this section show what services you give with really cool and nice elegant illustrations you give, and you've got everything, you know, working as charming as you want it to be. So yeah, let's go and add this section right beneath this one. So going back to our code, and let's create another section right here in the home page container. So I'm gonna do like services section.gsx, and this is actually gonna be the name of our section. Just gonna do import React from React, simply export a function. Okay, so we got prompts, and yeah, so pretty simple right now. We got the services section, which pretty much gonna use it to show our services of our company and what we do and all the things we got and we have. So yeah, so pretty simple right now. What we can do is create a title for each section. So if you take a look on the design, so each section in here has like a unique title for it. So we have to create like a separate component for all of these titles. They like have a 45 font size and a boldish weight with Roboto fonts. So we can do that real quick using the components in here, and I can do like section title. I can introduce that, so I can do index.gsx. So let's import React from React again. So export a function which is section title. Or what we can simply do is pretty much, without introducing all of these, let's just go and export a styled component. That makes it a little bit much more easier than just creating a function and component for it that it doesn't really need it. So we can import styled, and I can use an h1 for it. And I missed the const here. So we can do font size. I definitely need to override the font size with like 34 pixels or something. Also the font weight has also to be overridden, so we can do bold. And for the color, so you can just do 000. Pretty simple, and that's all we need to be including for there. So this is actually the service section. Let's create a container for it. Services container. We can do styled div, and well, yeah, we can have like full width. And let me just go ahead and do like minimum height, just for testing purposes. We can do 500 pixels, okay? So I think that should do the job perfectly. And we can use display flex direction of column again. So always use flexbox, is actually a great thing to do. Now, actually the main part of this is actually introducing smooth scrolling. So for using smooth scrolling in React, there's a package called React Scroll that allows you to easily integrate smooth scrolling and scroll from one section to another in easy time. So just like you don't need to introduce a lot of code to keep track a lot of DOM elements or DOM nodes. No, it's pretty simple. Using this module specific, it allows you to actually go or navigate between sections and just introduce smooth scroll into your website in an easy way. So yeah, I already installed this and we can just go ahead and use it to do the navigation and smooth scrolling for our website. So for that, what we need to be doing is actually including the elements. So I have to do like south, and I have to override this because this is actually going to be the section, the parent of the section, and you have to use it on the parent of the section. So you have like an element screws in here, it gets imported from React Scroll. So I'm just going to import it from React Scroll in here, and this element represents a specific section you have. So let's try to put in here like services container. Well, I'm just need to make sure to return this. Also gonna have like section title, so let me just put that. And let me see what is the actually title. So best software quality. Cool. Just paste that in, and here we need to introduce actually a name for it. So you have to do a name for it for a particular section. In order later on you can navigate throughout this unique name, and make sure to use a unique name. You can imagine this as an ID of an HTML DOM element. So yeah, make sure to do so. And here I'm just gonna do like services section. And also we can introduce this to the subsection as well. So since you can go ahead and use it in here, but what I preferably need to do is just like return simply the element as the parent element, and make sure it is the parent of all, because it represents the whole section. You want no complexities goes through us, so you don't want to introduce any bugs or just like corrupted elements into your thingy. So I have to do that. Put the elements on top, put it on bottom, and make sure to introduce the name. So we can do like top section name. So yeah, pretty cool. Now we can just go ahead and navigate from one section to another. So if we take a look back into our website, I don't know, let's go ahead and use the section. So we got top section, then we got services. Super cool. Now if you go all the way down screws in here, whenever I refresh the page, all we land on is actually this page. It takes the full virtual height, which makes it look like a landing page, and just gives it this powerful looking thing that goes in the background. So you got this page second, and you scroll down and you got the second section. Now we want to click this button, and it takes us in a smooth scroll manner to the second section. How we can do that? Of course, using these React Scroll as we introduced it before. So we can go to the top section. I can create a function in here that takes care of the handling. So this function just like scroll to next section in a pretty simple way. And for this one, I'm going to be using scroller. So I can go ahead and import scroller from React Scroll. So I threw this in here. I did import scroller from React Scroll. And just go ahead and import that and do like scroll to. And scroll to here takes to as a string, the first argument. So it takes the element name, and apparently has like services section. And the other one is actually takes a parameters or an options object. So if you want to just do like a smooth scrolling, you can introduce like smooth to true. And also if you want to do like a duration, you can increase the duration, but I would like to make it like a 1500, which means a second and a half to scroll from one section to another. So it's pretty good effect to have it for the smooth scrolling. And last but not least, let's go ahead and introduce this into our arrow. So we can do on click and do like scroll to next section. So pretty simple. If we go back all the way here and we click that, boom. So we got this section gets us in a simple manner scrolling. But if you want to see the whole thing, I want to just like go ahead and fill out the whole height. So we can have 400 pixels. So if you click this button again, as you see, gets the smooth scrolling, the whole smooth scrolling from our React application. So we just simply click on that and it just jumps us all the way down in a really smooth manner from the top section to the services section in just like no time. And yeah, it is pretty awesome looking effect. So you can have the whole website like first section, the second section, and third section, and going back and forth. This way just like makes clients or users more attracted to keep scrolling throughout your website over when you just like have a static website and you have to use the scroll bar to go from one section to another, which is pretty old and legacy. You don't want it to do that, and you can have this new smooth scrolling, which, you know, as clearly see, it looks pretty unique and pretty awesome. Pretty well. Now jumping, after having the functionality of jumping from the top section to the second section, now we can go ahead and work on our best quality section, and we can add all the illustrations, all the services with like reusable components and stuff like that. So for now, let's go ahead and just center the text we got on this, like the text in here, best quality software. So make sure to get it to center and center all the illustrations on our like services section. So for this, we can just go ahead and do like align items to the center, and we should just do the job. So starts in here, best quality software being centered. We can also use the margin in here just to introduce some margin, or we can do some padding simply. So I can do some padding with 1 AM from only the top, from the right and the left is 0. So we can have this in a better place, and we can just, you know, got best software in here. But I think 10 pixels, I don't mean 10 AM by the way. So only 10 pixels I think will do a better job in that just perspective. Well, let's include this like illustrations and make sure we can reverse them just by including some like a prop that we can do the reverse with. So for that, what we can do is actually create another reusable component, and I'm going to name this like our service. And this component is just going to represent a single service that we feed data into. So we got index.jsx, and let's import React as well. Is React. Export the function, which is our service. So we got some props into it, and here I'm gonna have like service container, and there is start components again. So we got width and height, and yeah, we're not gonna have any fixed width or height for that. So yeah, we're just gonna freely have those roaming around. What we're gonna do is like display flex and just make it take flex direction of like a row by default. And here we're gonna have like service image equals styled dot image, and we can have a width and a height of I don't know, I think 6 AM. Will it do a job? I don't know. Let's try 6 AM. And we'll see. Also, what we can have is actually a title. So if you take a look on design, we've got this actually the title of the section, by the way, and this is actually the details or description of the section. So what we can do is simply can have like description container. So it just like contains both the title and the actual details of the description. So we can have like styled div. And as well, we can use flexbox in here, but this time we need to use a row or a column representation. So we got description container, and yeah, here we got the actual title of the service. So I need to use something like an H2, okay? And well, for the H2, we can pretty much do, okay, the color is pitch black, I want it to be. And for the font size, I'm not quite sure for this. So for the font size, what we can do is actually 40, so which means we can use 28 pixels. And for the font weight, I think he uses something like a regular to medium weight, which means we can use 700. Okay, it can do a good job for this. Now for the actual description, let me just name it details. So I have a style, but I'm going to be using the paragraph for that particular case. And for the paragraph, well, it has like a specific grayish color finishy thingy. So I'm just going to use the same color there, just by introducing it. And font size, well, I'm not sure. So for the font size, we got 30, which means we can have something like 19 pixels to 18 pixels. We will see more about this later on. But voila, so yeah, it should do the job right now. And the last thing, I just like text align to center. So we got this like center text alignment goes through, and yeah, super cool. Nothing, well, yeah, everything looks pretty great right now. Alright, so let me just go and create the actual here service. So I'm going to create the components. Service container. Then we're gonna have okay, service description, or like description container. Then we've got the actual title, and with the title we need to actually grab the title from the props, because obviously we're going to be using it throughout multiple services components, so multiple instances of the component. So we got the points pretty much. And here we got we can grab the title and description from the props. So we can have title here. There's actually the description, so we can have details. And there's actually the description. Super cool. Now the last thing is actually need to introduce the image. So just service image MSRC, and we need the actual image URL. So I'm just going to introduce the image URL, and skadoosh. Pretty cool. Now it should look the way we expect it to be, but still not quite sure. I think here I need to do align items to align them vertically in a center manner, so it will look way much better. And as well for the description container, I can actually do a max width thingy with a 60%, so it doesn't actually go all over the page. So just like a little bit of constraint is always good for this particular thing. And also for the text constraint is also always a good practice to add. So I can add about, I don't know, 70% of the maximum width, okay? Cool. Alright, let's just test that out, and here we got the section title. I'm just going to include the marginer again. I'm going to have direction of, so we got, okay, it's vertical. Yeah, I totally forgot about this. And we got margin of about, I don't know, let's see, 3 AM. EM, I didn't make AM, by the way, so yeah. Alright, let's do our service. I'm just gonna do title. I'll just copy the title from here. Okay, description, copy it as well. And the last thing, we're just gonna import the image URL, so we can just do like service1 image from, so whatever, assets, illustrations, and I think it is webdevelopment.png, okay? So I can copy this image URL, and obviously React, by using the power of Webpack, is just gonna return an image URL, so we can use it later on right there. And yeah, so you can introduce this using image URL, just like that, and it should do the job, okay? Let's see how things are going to be going, and voila. So this is actually the first impression, and it looks awful. So here we should increase that a lot. So we should increase the image or the illustration. Let's try 12. Okay. Okay, so I think you have to do a width more than a height kind of ratio. So you got 19 AM compared to 15 EM. And still I need to take that a little bit larger than it actually looks like. So you can have a 16 EM there and here, and I think it does a better job perfectly. So yeah, I think so. Now for the description container, we can also do so align items to have a centered alignment. So that would definitely give it a better bump around. But overall, the actual experience, I just don't like the too much margin in here. So I can, well, let's see for the actual title. So I think the title has an H2, so it has quite a lot of margin, and I don't want to do this. So margin bottom, and well, let's just change the overall margin. So right now I'm just gonna do 1 EM and 0 from left to right. Okay, I don't know, it got bigger. I think right now it looks better. Just like increasing the size of the description text, it should do the better job. Okay, so here we can go with 21 pixels, and I think, yeah, it does a better job, as well as increasing the actual illustration size, because it looks a little bit smaller overall and it doesn't take that much of space. So we can increase the width to the height ratio by 1. And yeah, overall it does look pretty great. Now what we want is actually have this reversed kind of like looking like, or this kind of effect. So we can do that really simply using flexbox, reverse flexbox, row reverse. So yeah, using props you can do that really easily. So I'm just gonna introduce a new prop, is reverse, and this one is gonna be just like, let me see. Yeah, we can have this on the service container. So I can do is reverse equals is reverse. And yeah, pretty well for the align items. Now we can do flex direction, and we can use the CSS and JS, or JS and CSS pretty much. Yeah, if you got the point. So is reverse, or it's better said actually is reversed instead of like is reverse, I think. So yeah, just an English pronunciation thing. Alright, if it is actually reversed, what I want to do is row reversed. Okay, and this row reverse just allows you to reverse. So things actually, right now we got the description container comes first, then the service image child comes last. So with row reversed option, what we can do is actually reverse the order of these. Now the service image comes first, and you know we got the description last, which is, you know, just a vice versa thingy happen. Now just by introducing, let's just copy paste this. We can have another service. And one last thing I just like totally forgot to do is actually add some margins between one service and another. So we can add like a bottom margin between these. So yeah, I don't know why I said bottom margin, it's margin bottom. Yeah, I'm sorry with this, just like I've been coding a lot lately. So I can have I don't know, 2 AM, let's see. Okay, the reverse thing first, it doesn't work as expected, but yeah, because I'm not introducing it anyway. So as I said, I'm kind of like messed up right now. Anyway, yeah, it still does not work as we want it to be. So we got is reversed, it goes to the service container, we got is reversed here, and row reversed. Let me just include the macro in here so we can better debug it easier than console. Now if we take a look on the console, we just do inspect element, and we go to our service. So yeah, so we go to the container, and we got It's just like row reverse, not reversed. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with me, but I just misspelled that. And right now it should do it perfectly right. Clearly in here, we got everything being reversed from like going top to, or pretty much left to right, to going right to left. So it just like creates a pretty cool effect, and it makes the design shine up, and you know, it's more interesting for the user to read more throughout the whole description. What you can of course do, just make more text in here, so it just like emphasizes and gives more context or content to the actual containers right here. So that's simply all you need to be doing for that particular case. But without further ado, let's just see, let's change the actual service image. So I'm going to be including, copy pasting all of these, and let's see. So the second one we got mobile phone, and the last we got, I think, bug fixed. Okay, so this is actually a third illustration, second illustration, and we can just service second image, and just third image. This one is definitely not reversed, and we can have that. Okay, just by double checking, yeah, hallelujah, looks better. One thing to notice, actually, just increase this to 4. I think it's better for it to be 4. Okay, I think it's way much better right now. It looks 4, and it does a better job. So yeah, it looks pretty great. Let's just change up the text. I don't know, I totally forgot about what I typed in here, so I'm not gonna really type this. Just gonna leave it. I'm just gonna copy this one, paste it here, and I'm gonna change the title. Code is our priority. So yeah, just copy pasting stuff. Nothing really dangerous. But yeah, so we got a title here as well. So let's just go ahead and refresh and see what can we do. So seriously, just after refreshing, yeah, we got the new text in here. We got color is our priority thing. So you got a lot of things going on in here, but I think I did like a 70% constraint for the actual description or the details container. So I think we can go ahead and decrease that to something like 50. And that will give it more emphasized, I don't know, let's see, 55, okay? I don't know, yeah, I think 55 could do a better job. So indeed, we got the actual top section, the landing page section, and we got smooth scrolling working to the second best quality software section that works pretty well. So yeah, this is all done using React and more actually. So now what's actually left for us is what others are saying about us and the rest of the website pretty much. So now let's go ahead and just create one of the most important sections on the website for a client. So this is actually the review section, or what other people, what other companies we have actually just created websites or applications for pretty much are saying about our service. And this is actually really crucial, because it just like decides whether you're gonna just like get a new client potentially throughout these reviews, if they're good, and if you just like present them in the best way you can pretty much throughout your website, and you just like show them to the actual client. So it is actually a critical place to put how people actually are reviewing your place or your service, and what they are saying in the best way like possible in here. So yeah, we're just going to be creating this, and as quickly as you've seen, there's actually dots. So if you already took a look on or watched the video tutorials about designing this website from scratch using Figma, so if you don't know that, I did a full tutorial about designing this full website in 1 hour using Figma. So yeah, you can go and check it out to understand more about the design if you don't already, and you have some like, you know, misunderstood things. But anyway, so here we're going to be working on is actually the carousel thing. So this carousel is going to allow us to go like and navigate between multiple review sections. So actually here, each section includes like 2 review cards, and just then going to be calling it a review card. So it has like 1 or multiple review cards, and you can like go through back and forth between these review cards and view more like cards from different people. So this is actually the vision, and this is going to be created right now using the help of pure React carousel. So we already installed that throughout the dependencies, obviously, so you probably have got that installed. If you don't, go ahead and install it. But this is actually from the Express team, not the Node.js thing. I mistakenly said that before, but anyhow, so it's a pure React carousel which is built 100% on top of React, only on React, not on vanilla JavaScript, and it includes everything you would probably imagine doing. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So first things first, we need to start working with the carousel provider. After installing, of course, you get the carousel providers clears in here. So we get the carousel provider, we apply like the natural width and height and total slides, and it just like puts all the contents of the slider and the slides inside of it, and boom, it's just gonna work exactly as we anticipate it to be. So yeah, I'm just gonna have another section in here. So we go back into our homepage containers, and I'm gonna create a new file. Okay, so it's gonna be like reviews section.jsx. I'm just gonna start working on this really quick. So I have here, let's see, from React, let's export interface. It's not actually an interface. Always mistake, you know, just like blend it with TypeScript, because I work with TypeScript a lot. So view section, and we're gonna have some prompts going on. And here actually we're gonna be creating some containers. I'm just gonna do like reviews container and styled. I'm gonna import that, and obviously what I'm gonna be doing is I'm gonna use the elements because it's gonna be a section we're gonna be working with. So we will have an element, and just import elements from React scroll, just like that, and we can provide you know, how much height we want or width we want. I can do like for the height visually at first. Let's say we want something like 700 pixels, okay? We can go with even 800 pixels. You can also have a display flex and flex direction of column, and that should do the job perfectly. So if you want to just go ahead and render that real quick, I can do reviews container, and we can have like a section title. So you can import that, and we can put our title in here. So we can grab it from right here. Where is it? So what others are saying about us, or you can change it like reviews or clients are saying about us, just to make it or give it more authenticity as it should be looking like in here. So yeah, so that's pretty simple. We can add as well some marginer to get things clearer. So we can add a direction to vertical, and I can make a margin of about, I don't know, 3 EM. I think that should do a good job. And last but not least, just go to the index.js for our homepage, and we're going to be including the review section, obviously. So this is actually a crucial part you need to take care of, otherwise it won't work as anticipated. So you always must render your things, and voila. So we got all things in here happening. We got the actual section title rendering, but it's not in the middle. So each section takes care of just putting all of its content into the center, or just leave it as it is. So in this case, what we have is basically we have to do that manually. So we just go ahead and center things using Flexbox as we do always. So we can do align items, and we can just go center, super quick like that, and boom. So we got that actually working as we want it to be. And yeah, super cool. I can also go ahead and add some like marginer in here if I feel like it. It would do beneficial job to it. So direction, vertical, margin, I can add 2 EM. I think that would make it look a little bit better. Just giving it a little bit space in between multiple sections. We just like, you know, leave a little bit space for the users to actually see and be able to read throughout the whole website, and just like don't miss informations over your website, which is pretty great. Now let's just go ahead and create those cards using the help of the carousel. So first, what we're going to be doing is just go ahead and create some simple cards. We're going to also then go ahead and set up the carousel so it works perfectly as anticipated, and also try to just like, you know, give it some standards to actually works as we expect it to be, the perfect way. Then we can go ahead and populate this and add styles to the actual cards. So for now, we're only going to be creating some placeholders for the cards. And I'm going to create reusable components as we do always. So I'm just going to call it review card. And here I'm going to create index.jsx. So again, going to import Reacts from Reacts again, and here export our functional components. Alright, so it's review card. And yeah, so here just need a container, simply a container that is almost like a rectangular, and it just like has two heights, to width aspect ratio, and some box shadow going on in here. So if we go and select this, we go to the inspect to see the full CSS. So we can potentially go ahead and grab some, some styles if we actually need them. I think, yeah, there you go. So we got the back box shadow in here if we do like really need it. But yeah, so I'm gonna just do card container. I'm gonna use start components again, as always we do that. So we have a width of let's see. So we got width of I don't know. Let's do a width of 400 pixels, or I think let's see 350 pixels. Okay, and the height is definitely larger than the width, so we got 550 pixels. Okay, we will try to go with this. Now for the background color, we will go with full white, obviously, just to get this like shadowy theme to it, so we can easily apply the shadow to pretty much all over the borders. And yeah, we can have this super cool looking. So we can do box shadow, and we can quickly go ahead and copy the box shadow. I don't think this is actually a perfect box shadow. I can just go ahead and dim that a little bit. So I can, where is this? Okay, so we can take it a little bit here, and we can make it a little bit grayish looking, like 17 or something, 0.2. And here it's definitely not, so I'm just going to leave it 7 pixels for the blurriness. And yeah, I think, okay, so I think as far, I'm not going to be introducing, or I'm not going to be introducing border radius. Okay, so let's add some simple border radius of a 3 pixels radius, and boom, skadoosh. So we got things as we worked in about it. So let's just render out this. So we're gonna have card container, and later on we're gonna have like, actually just throughout the props, we're just gonna get all the data, like the actual text, the review text, and the reviewer name, the author name, obviously an image for the author, just simple stuff like that, so we can pretty much populate the data into the card really quickly. So yeah, that's basically what we need to do for now. So go review section again. Yeah, we can go to the marginer. Now, before actually being able to render that, we have to use the carousel as we talked about it before, and using actually the help of pure React carousel. So the pure React carousel has actually like a provider, connects all of its components, all of its like child components together. So you have to use this provider. It just like uses some like a context, kind of a style of pretty much a coding or API. So yeah, you have to use it the same way in here. I'm just gonna do like carousel provider, so make sure to import that from pure React carousel right on top in here. VS Code does that automatically for me. So yeah, super cool feature from the VS Code. And here we have to introduce like natural slide width and height. So for those of you who are asking why we need to introduce the width and height, if you want them to be responsive or something, those are not actual width and height in pixels. No, they are only like an aspect ratio. Of course, they're still in pixels, but they're going to provide only the aspect ratio for the actual carousel provider to be able to work with that and just like provide some responsiveness later on. So I'm just going to introduce like numbers of, for the width, we will have something like 200, and natural height, well, the height is larger than the width, so I can give it like it's larger than the width by 100 pixels, so that should do the job. Now also we're going to be using the slider, so if we go ahead and use the slider from pure React, and also we need a slide. So a slider is just like, it like groups all the slides, and each slide can represent whatever component. It's only just the container, or the slide component is just a wrapper around whatever DOM components you can put there, custom components, class components, whatever. So you can use whatever you would like to. Yeah, we can go and use a slide in here, but the only required parameter for this to work, you have to provide an index that is, you know, it just like shows the numbering of the slides. So it starts from 0 and goes all the way up, depending on the slides. Here I'm going to be using review card. Yes, let me just go ahead and copy all of that. I don't want to retype the whole thing over again. And yeah, just one. We will try to pretty much go with like 2 slides. Okay, just for now, go with 2 slides. Now the other parameter here is actually total slides, like how many slides there are. Depending on this, there will be 2 slides, and I think it's visible slides. Well, the visible slides prop, it actually tells how many slides are actually visible for that. Now currently what we have is we got 2 slides, and we want only 1 slide to be visible at once, at a single time, or a single section. So yeah, we can just have one and it should do the job perfectly. Now we can go back to our application, and yes, so there you go, we got our carousel thing in here. But what we are missing, actually we need to import the actual CSS, otherwise it won't work. So since Create React App uses Webpack and it does all the bundling of the assets, which means it's going to help us. So just copy this, like import pure React carousel destination, the CSS file here, just paste it right here, and it should do the job because it's going to be bundled with our application. Now if you go back, and yeah, I don't know, we are pretty much seeing nothing, and that is not looking really great. So let me just go ahead and just debug it and take a look on the inspector. So this is actually the carousel, and it has a 0 width and a 0 height. You completely have no idea why, but nevertheless, if you just go ahead and provide like a width of 100 or like a 50% of the width, yeah, it will show up. So we only just go ahead and provide some width to it, so we could easily show up the correct way we want it to be. So therefore, we can just go ahead and and simply just override this component, or override the carousel provider components, because it's just like the parents DOM node. So we can do styled carousel provider, and we can use styled, we can do carousel provider, and we can definitely change some things. So it can provide a width of 50%. Now if you want to do like responsive design in mobile, 50% won't do a great job. So I have to use like media queries to change this to 100% back if we are on a screen size of a mobile. So yeah, you got the point what I mean. And 50% here, just copy the actual text, copy the component's name. Cool. Now we got, card here, card there, but as clear as seen, it doesn't really look that good, to be honest. So what you want, since for our application, what we do exactly want is actually have 2 review cards visible at once. So we want like 2 sections to be visible at once, and we can go throughout this, like we can have 4 sections or more. So for this case, I'm just going to be doing or duplicating this. So let me just create another 4 section, increase this for the second, third. And what we can do is actually change the total slides to 4, because we have got 4 slides and we want to show 2 slides at the same time. So we can have 2 review cards being showed up at the same time. And there you go. So we got that's actually working pretty well, exactly as we anticipated it. But clearly in here, we still like get some, I don't know, sneak peek of the last slide, and those are not perfectly aligned because the box shadow doesn't look really great. So we can introduce some borders to it throughout the slide. So we can go ahead and provide or override the slide components in here to be able to do that. So I can name it styled slide and styled and slide, and we can just go ahead and override this. Now before overriding, let me just check out the structure of this so we can easily know which elements are actually inside. So we got the inner slide, or slide inner, and we got li. So we have to look for a div, which is the inner slide. That's going to allow us to do the job perfectly. And also we have to look for the actual, okay, where is that? Carousel, we got slide tray, and Got horizontal slider. I don't know. Let me just go and check out this really quick. Flex. So if we do flex, doesn't really do the job. Go back to carousel slider. Try wrapper. So horizontal slider. I think this is okay. Yeah. It doesn't actually do that. I don't know. Let me just go ahead and double check this real quick. So I simply think just by introducing some margin to the card. So if we go to the review card and we can do some like margin from the top, we don't really need much. So we can do like 5 pixels, and from the left and right you can introduce 2 AM. And I think you can do a better job. So clearly in here, it does way much better job. And we can use actually the the animation of just like dragging and dropping it, or just like going through it with this tappy thingy of a mobile device. Well, yeah, it does the job perfectly. We can go scroll up to the cards, and we got 2 cards visible at the time, which is exactly as we wanted to be. So yeah, it's pretty cool, looking super nice so far. Now the thing we need is actually those dots in order for doing navigation, right? And for making this navigation look the way, we can use the dot group, which is a component that is already being provided for us by the actual, our module here, carousel, or pure React carousel. So we can just go beneath the slider. I can name it dot group from pure React carousel. And if you take a look on it, where is that? So we got a dot group in here, but as clear to see, there is actually too much width or height gap in here, which we don't really like. And I can just make sure it's 250 for that. And I think right now it does a way much better job. So all we need, just center out this and just change them to an actual dot. Otherwise, they look absolutely horrible at that particular point. So by just going and inspecting this to see the actual DOM structure, so we can actually change it. So this is actually the actual group or the main container, and it has each one is dot represent a button of a DOM element. And if the dot's actually selected, which means it is currently being active, it has this class in here. So we can use this little information to do the job perfectly. So we can just copy out this. I can go ahead and slide, or pretty much what I can do is, well, styled dot group. I can use styled. I can do dot group. Okay, perfect. I can go with like so I can also change the width and height. So I'm just going to introduce like 11 pixels for width and for height, and 11 pixels for that. But as we talked about it before, the actual DOM structure has buttons, so you have to access the button element, which is a child. So for each button element, you've got to do that. You also have to do like a border radius of 50%, which is completely rounded. You also want to change the background color to let me just gonna paste this. So it's actually the class which is selected, so we want to change the CSS style for the selected ones, and we can just like, give them some grayish color. Now the dots that are not selected, we've got them in super light gray. So I think here, which is not selected, so we can have them. Okay, where's the background? Let me just go to the design. I think here, okay. This could do a better job. So just pasting, this is actually the background color for that one. And also we might also do like some margin. So if it is not last, so not last of type, just using a basic CSS selector, so not last of type. Okay, I know it keeps adding this to me. We can just do some margin to pretty much left. All right, or right, better say. I can do 3 pixels, okay? And I think this would do a better job. Now, if it is actually selected, we want to change the background color for this. So for the background color for a selected one, we're going to have something like this, little bits of a dark grayish thingy. So I think it will do a better job. Full style dot group, we'll just copy this, paste it out here. and I think we're good to go. Still looks kind of a weird thingy, I don't know, but still. So what we can do is, let me just go and change the border and make it none. The outline as well, make it none. So it goes completely none. And yeah, voila. Now we got our dots looking way much better. Let's just tinily decrease this, the size of this, just making it 10 pixels, and I think it would do perfectly a better job by any means. I think, I don't know, just make this the height again. Well, I think, yeah, I think this is foremost, it's doing a good job so far. As clear seeing, whenever we click on it, it just like changes this and it does perfectly the job as we want it to be. So yeah, hallelujah, we got the actual dots that we want, just like the navigational dots ready for that. We'll just go ahead and center them right in the middle, and I don't know if I can use so I can use the inspector again right here for the dots. So crucial dot group, yeah, it takes the full way. So we can use display flags, and I can just justify content to the center, and yeah, it's not being centered, by the way, so I don't know why exactly, but so I think I can just go ahead and center out the full. So here we got align items to center, we got styled slide to the center, but for the style carousel provider we don't have anything like that. So let's say we want to do display flags, and okay, justify content to the center. I don't know if that's actually gonna be working. It's definitely wants, because just like gonna take off the whole style, so it won't make it look that perfect, by the way. Alright, I don't know if you're changing flex direction to column. Yeah, but it's not just actually change it out there, so it's quite a problematic thing to worry about. So let's see. So just like for a little bit of inspecting the actual DOM, so what I got is actually the slide inner here is actually quite a problematic. So we have to center the element side of that in the center. We don't want to use any margins or that like that anymore. So we just access the slide inner class, and yeah, we can just go and access this like carousel inner slide. So just copy it, go to the slide elements. Where is that? Okay, it should be here. And we can just use the class selector, access this particular element for that case. And what we can do is pretty much go ahead and use display flags. So we can do display flags and flags, or just like justify content to the center, because we've got only one card. We don't have to worry about that alignment much. So the other thing in here, we have to go ahead and make sure it goes to the 0 for the margin, so we don't have any complexities or something. And I don't know if that is, where is the style, and haven't used that, so let's just go and change every single style with this new component, and afterwards it should do the job perfectly. So yeah, we got things, that should be the slider, by the way. And there you go, boom. So we got now the actual, you know, the pretty much points or the dots in here are centered, and we can navigate between them back and forth without any issues so far. So yeah, that's actually looking pretty good so far, so good, and so nothing really complicated. Now we can go ahead and populate the cards, and we can add some content to the card as this pretty much we got right in here. So we'll just go ahead and do that real quick. Now going back to the review card, and we can make sure that we got the actual card in here. So if you take a look on the design, we got this really awesome kind of like a quote thingy, quote icon, and we can use the font awesome cheat sheet to get that. So yeah, that's, I think that's pretty simple to do. So I can just go and do like quote icon equals style, then you can use a div for that. It's pretty much to hold the actual, to be a container of this. And we can have position of absolute, because we're gonna have like an absolute positioning for this. And you can go to top for about, I don't know, 10 pixels from the top, and from the left you can go to about like 15 pixels. I think that should do the job. So with the color, we can go in and easily copy out the color of this. So where's the actual color? Alright, so you got the color from the CSS right here. And for the font size, we have to look for the font size actually. So there is actually the font size of 45 pixels. And yeah, it should do the perfect job right now for the quote icon. And it should be actually like having an absolute positioning, so there will be no issues. And for the card container here, we have to use actually the position of relative. So actually the quote icon would be relatively positioned to the card container. So you have like a relative positioning to that. And we also need to add the actual text in here. So the review text, a component, and I can call it like simply text style.dev, or I think I can better call it like review text in here, so it could do a better job. And also I can use a P instead of a div. Of course, here represents a text as a paragraph. Yeah, so font size, let's see what is actually the font size right here. It should have like a font size of 20 pixels. Well, definitely not 20 pixels, so I can just go with 16 or even 17 pixels, so it's much clearer. For the color, well, it has this kind of darkish color, so I can easily go in and copy out this. You can even add this to the theme to be able to use it later on throughout more components if you have like larger application, but for now this will do perfectly the job without any issues. And lastly, we got the font weight. And I think for the font weight, it doesn't actually introduce any new font weight. So we got simply normal for a font weight. And yeah, super cool. So this is actually the review text, and it should be centered right in the middle, and I've got like some margin from the top, and it should all of it be centered. So we can introduce text align. Where's text align to be centered? Super cool. I don't know, so I don't think I can use actually text align to be centered because it doesn't do that perfectly. So we can just get rid of this, and I can use display flex. And the flex, okay, justify contents to be centered. And I think it should do the job perfectly right now. For that, and last but not least, we've got this like horizontal line going through, so I can add that real quick. So line equals style.dev. We can use a span, it's better for this particular case. We can have a width of 100%. Also, we might. Alright, so we got a width of 100%, and we got like a height of, I don't know, let's see, got some stroke. So we got height of 0 pixel. It shouldn't be. So, well, let's just do height of 0 pixel. We can add some border as they are doing right here. So I think that's way much better to represent rather than using just the background color. And yeah, so that is all of it for the line. And last but not least, we need an image and pretty much the text. So we can have like user image, so styled.image. And for the width and the height of the image, if you check out this, we got about like we can use 50 pixels for the width and for the height, so we can do 50 pixels width, height, 50 pixels, and border radius. So to have like a fully rounded image, I can use a border radius of 50% as we always do. And yeah, so voila. So I think that is pretty much all beside the actual title. So user name, so style.p, or can we use something other than p? Let me just use a span for that case. Font size for this, we can be, I think 15 pixels will do the job, and for the color it could go pitch black, like this. And voila. So right now let's go and destruct the data from the props first. So we got something like I don't know, let's see, review text. So it's called review text, and there is actually a username, there is a user image URL. So you don't want to like name it the same as the component name and image. So I think that is actually all. So just distract that from the props I'm going to be using. We got the top container. Now here first we're going to have pretty much, let's have already positioned is actually the code icon. So we can use code icon, and we can use the font awesome icon as we always do. So we can fontize an icon, we can embed the icon. I think it's called fat quotes left, and I think this one is, I don't know, I think it's left, but I'm not quite sure about this, so we can double check that in a second. So the second thing here we got, let's see, is review text. So we got review text, and we can have review text for it, and we got, so I'm going to be using some marginer for that. So I'm just going to do like margin, so direction equals vertical and margin. Well, in that case, let's use 3 AM for this margin. I can use line and some marginer, or just better than just keeping using marginer over and over again. Let's go to the line. You can add some like margin bottom of like 6 pixels. I think he would do a better job for that. And last but not least, we got both of these components. So I think I can create another component here called user details container, or just leave it as user details. And I can do with okay, just use display flex. So we can have a flex box display in here. So we can include the user details and the user image. So src user image URL, and the other one is actually the username. So we got the username, and here we have to provide the username. Simple enough. Now, yeah, this component, as far as I can tell, it's ready to be published. Now, if we go back into here with the review card, we can add a couple of properties for this. So there's actually review text. There's username. There's user image URL. Okay, all of these are actually here. Let's go and import some images. So I can do import user1 image from going back to assets, and I think pictures, and I've got a bunch of profile pictures. So I can do profile picture 1, then we can profile picture 2, and so on and so forth. So just copy paste all over the way, as always doing. Just copy pasting things. Go 2, 3, 4, and voila. Just make sure to change, because copy paste can be super dangerous, and it can introduce bugs you've never thought yourself would pretty much introduce in kind of a source code. So yeah, always double check after copy pasting. Just read the whole code again after just pasting it there to make sure everything actually looks the way you expect it to be. Now here we got the review text. Let's copy some review text. I don't want to just spend most of the time. So this is firstly the review text for username. So John Connor. Alright, and simply the user image URL. It's actually user1 image. And that should do the job. We'll just copy paste all of that, because I don't want to type this all over the way again. So that's quite ridiculous. And yeah, just Control S. Let me just get rid of that. I don't know, it's failed to compile for some reason. Let's see. Picture 4 and smooth. Alright, let's see. So let me just take a look on my assets. Yeah, node modules are open, which is always horrible. I've got assets. So we get pictures 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one is JPEG with an E. I don't know why that, but yeah, it's for some reason it does have that with an E. Now if we take a look, hallelujah, it looks horrible at some point. So we've got some things needs to be polished first. So go review. Here first I'm going to change the actual font size, where is the core icon, 45 pixels is a huge number. I can go with 35 pixels, I think. Or, okay, 37 pixels. Will it do a better job? Probably, yes. We can also have some margin from the left as a 17, and also like 11 or 12. Or even 13, I think he will do a better job. Okay, now for the text, also we have to introduce some margin from the text. So we can, I don't know, justify center align items. Let's see if that actually works. I'm not quite sure about this, but that would definitely not work. So yeah. So without further saying that, I can go ahead and use just like regular margin without any issues. So I can go right here, can do marginer again, direction. So margin, I'm going to use for A. Okay, still looks super horrible, but okay. Let's just right now go ahead and introduce some padding right here with like 10 pixels of padding. I don't know if that will do the job. And one thing is actually we have to increase a little bit the width of like 490 and decrease the height a little bit, so it looks a bit better at some point. I don't know, but I think this way it looks a little bit tinier better. We also have to decrease the height again and again. Well, 450. Okay. Let's see, 450. I think 450 will do absolutely a better job. Now, for the line, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't do it right. No idea why. Let's see, this is actually the line. So we can double check that. So I have 2 by 21. Why would it introduce like 29 for the height? So there's 100% there. Let me just try the trick of just making this a background color. So I can do background dash color. I'll make this like, let me just get rid of the border always. Okay, if I try to make this like 100 pixels, will it work? Hell no, it won't work. That is quite interesting. For some reason that is definitely not working at all. We can introduce like minimum height to it. Will it do anything? No. Minimum width. Okay. Well, definitely not again. It's not working as we want it to be. Can I introduce flex? Yeah, just by introducing flex. The flex box can make that actually work. Can just make, okay, so 100 here, 100 there. Just get rid of that border here, we don't need it, and we got display flex. So just copy the whole CSS here, just paste it in as it is, so we don't waste much time on this as we did here. Now, if you go back to the top in here, I want to increase some padding, okay? I want to leave it 10 pixels from the top and the bottom, and I make it like 2 em from both sides, okay? And I think you should, let's do 1.5. It's way much better. And here, actually, we want also to center up this particular element, so we have to center up the text, and we have to have some margin between this, so we can also do that throughout the line. So we got the line here. There you go. So we can have this as 1 em. I think that should do the job. So perfect. So now here you flex, but when I just like do align items to the center, so we can have that to the center as well as the image. When I introduce some margin to this, so margin left or right, okay, 7 pixels. it's always harder and harder to choose pixels, right, to give it the right pixels. And here we got John Connor. I think 10 pixels would do a perfect job in that particular case. And hallelujah, well, it doesn't look as we anticipated it to be, but it does look at some point. So you have just to take this text a little bit down, and I want to also decrease the size of this to 430 pixels, and as well as this one, so I have to take it 370. I think that could do a better job, a way much better job, or like 430. Alright, and here we can 1.2. Okay, it just looks way much better now. Just take this a little bit down and this much more to the center. So just using the margin as we did before. So 5, and we can go with 6 here. Still, yeah, kind of the text looks good. So here if you have 7, we'll actually get, alright, as far as I can tell, it looks better. Alright, it does look better. And the image here doesn't look really that great to it. I don't know, it just like mistakenly chose a bad image. But if you want to change the image, like from user 1, go to user 2, 3, and 4, we change the images. Now they look at some point a little bit better, okay? Also, if you try to change up the size of the image, so where is the image? 50 pixels is a lot. Okay, we can go with about 45. I think 45 would do definitely a better job in that particular case. And hallelujah, so we got John Connor, we got the name, we got in here, we got the actual quotes, which is happening all the way on the top. So yeah, everything should be looking absolutely great. We can just go ahead and yeah, let's just test out this if it still works. And boom, so we got here, we got another pretty much users using the carousel, so we can drag and drop it and we can go through all this. You can of course disable this by just go ahead and disabling you know, allow, or pretty much traversal enabled, I think. I don't know, I don't quickly or clearly remember this, but just like using the provider here, so SAO component, so it is drag enabled, and if you want to just go ahead and make this false, now you can't actually drag this anymore. So yeah, pretty cool right now. It looks much more stable than just going and dragging and dropping it. And hallelujah, so we got our carousel working, we got everything pretty much exactly working as we want it to be. So no issues, nothing like that. And one thing actually about here in the responsive design, so if we want to have this in a responsive manner, well, definitely we're going to be needing is something like this. Well, so what others are saying about us, it could, so let me just double check that out real quick. So if you want to go ahead with the responsive, so clearly seen here, it doesn't look really that great. I want to change, this is how it looks like in an iPhone X. So it doesn't look really that good. So we can change that out later on, but for now, let's go and create like, or finish up the whole website before all of that. And also, let me just go and decrease the ratio in here to 220 for the height. So it looks quite better. 220. I think you can do not 70, like 25. And skadoosh. So it looks better, definitely looks better with this kind of nice, elegant animation. So of course you can change the animation if you want to, but that is not really that much of importance. Now the actual last section left for us to create is actually more about BIMA. So we give it like, you know, just an about section where we tell clients or users what is BIMA, what we do at BIMA, and why you should choose us over other companies and stuff like that. So just like an about section telling what is actually BIMA and having more information about BIMA pretty much. So here it has just like simply an illustration to the right, and we got the text to aligned to the left. So that should be super simple to create, and we can jump back into our like code editor in here. We create another section, like more about section, and it can go import React, explore the function, And let's create this section container. So I'm just gonna create more about container. I'm gonna use style components, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and override the elements. And yeah, make sure to override the React core elements. So for the actual heights, I'm just gonna have like a minimum height of well, I'm not quite sure about that, but let's see, 500 pixels, okay? And it has a display flex of the flex direction of a column, as always. And last but not least, well, we want to just like center things, so we have to do like align items to be in the center, and boom. So that should do the job perfectly. Now we can go in and return more about. So we have the container. I'm going to use the section title again, so we can call more about. I think it's more about Bima, yeah, Bima. And here we got, well, here later on we're gonna have the actual text with pretty much the illustration thingy. So that should do perfectly the job right now. Let's just go in and render out this on the index.js. So we got the index.js, we got more about section. And take a look on it. So here we got more about Bima. So once it just goes right below that, it gets like more about Bima. We can of course go ahead into the review section and decrease a little bit the size in here. It's 700 pixels. Where is this? So you can go to 600 pixels, I think. Well, that is not really that great. So okay, it should do a better job right now. So more about Bima. It's going to use the illustration and put the text in here. So going back, I can have actually about text components. So it's going to be styled dots, and I'm going to be using for that. So I'm just going to simply use in a normal paragraph for it. Okay. And I'm going to have the other components is actually about image. It's going to be style.img for this image, and the paragraph. We're going to have like a font size of. Let me see. So it's gonna have a font of Roboto and 28 pixels. Well, that means it's gonna have like 23 pixels. Okay. The color, it's gonna be. Let me just see. Copy the color. It's not completely dark, like not completely pitch black, but it somehow goes to the black. So you're seeing a color black. It's just like in the mid between the gray and the black. And font weight. Check out this again. Where is that? So it has 400, which is normal. And boom. So super cool with that. I don't know for the line height, it has like 32 pixels. I think 32 pixels will be too much. I don't know, let's use 1.4 for the line height. Now for the image, so we're gonna have quite a huge width for it. So it's gonna have, here it says 700, but I wanna use, okay, I want to use something like 500. Obviously, when we go with responsive, we have to use like media queries again to resize the image. Otherwise, it will look crappy on like, you know, lower screen devices or lower resolution devices. And I don't know, for this, it would have 400 pixels. All right, let's see about this. So we got here, there's actually the container. No. Consts about container. So this one is going to be a flex row direction. So I'm going to have display flex and just like that. And I don't know why it was created actually the index. Sorry about this. Let me just copy all of these. So I shouldn't have done that in here. I should have just jumped into the more about section. Just paste that in. Now we can use about container, can do about text, and about image. So we can use src, and let's go in and just import this illustration image. So about image URL from then go back to assets. orchestrations, and we can web development, I don't know, rocket launch, yeah, exactly. So that is what is about the image. Now I can use it right here. So for the about text, I'm just gonna copy the text in here. Nothing more than that. Just select the text, copy paste it, and skadoosh. So that should do perfectly the job for us right now. Let me just double check it right now, and yeah, it looks, well, some points it just everything gets rendered up right. We have just to do some kind of changes. We have to limit the text so it doesn't go over boundaries. We're just gonna give it like a maximum width for that text. So here for the container, I can do a maximum width of 50% for all of these. Or I can use like a 500 pixels. I think using pixels would definitely give it a better looking thingy. Well, it definitely looks better, but here actually it's clear to see there's like no line breaks, nothing like that, so it doesn't perfectly look that good. So what we can do is alright, let me see. Can you actually introduce some texts like lines in here? Yeah, that will definitely won't let us do that right over here. Let's just first center up this, and we can worry about this in a second. So I can do align items to center, so vertical centering, so it gets aligned with the illustration right. And also I want to increase the size of the illustration to go a little bit bigger, 600 to whatever. And we can also use some kind of like, let's introduce some margin to this. So I can do margin lefts, and I can use 2 AM for the margin left, and here let's increase this to 1000. Okay, it should be better for the 2 AM and that, but I can go with 3 AM. Alright, it doesn't look fully as we want it to be, but let's see. Also want to do justify content to center, so I have fully centered, so nothing will have any issues. But let's do 2 AM, go back to AM, it will do a better job. Now let's go back and fix this text and make it more, you know, looking like a paragraph. So like 3 paragraphs, and we just got some spacing between these paragraphs. So for that, I'm just gonna simply, there's many solutions for this, but I'm gonna use BRs, just a dumpy solution and an easy solution. So yeah, just super simple, easy solution for that particular case. And just gonna have 2 BRs in here. Also right here, we're gonna have 2. And I think, I don't know, let's see. I only got 1 here, so I need another one. And skadoosh, so we got that done, and we got like some spacing between paragraphs, so they look much more like a paragraph, like a real world paragraph. So here for the about text, let's just decrease the size though. It doesn't look really that good. It's super big, and you know, when it gets super big, things kind of skadooshy things happens. But yeah, hallelujah. So that's what we got out of the design, from the carousels, from pretty much here the services section and everything that happens. And last but not least, we got the more about Bima, and it should right now looks way much better. So for definitely for some responsiveness, it doesn't support that right now, but we will add that a little bit after finishing up the footer. Now the last part finished, or the last part, you know, yet to be finished, is actually the footer, and this kind of looking or sick looking footer, that's, yeah, I'm just gonna implement, it's gonna use the logo and a couple of other things to make the footer look like this. So let's get started by creating the footer component real quick. So we can go to our reusable components folder here, and I can just create a footer. Okay, so we can go and create another index.jsx. I'm going to be importing React from, well, React, export the function of footer, got props, and here I'm going to create the actual footer container. So it got styled, and I have to import style first to make sure that things are actually working perfectly. And here I'm gonna have like full width, obviously, for the footer, so it has to take the full width of the page. That's obvious. Foremost, now for the actual, let's see. So for the actual height, there's let's choose for the height like 500 pixels. Okay, I'm gonna use display of a flex direction of a column. Pretty simple. So yeah, that should be pretty simple. Now, for the sake of simplicity, because working on that is quite hard, and just making this curved top, if it was on the bottom, it would be way much easier. But for now, just gonna leave it as it is, just like a normal footer. Not gonna be doing this like edgy thing as we did in the design. So yeah, just for the sake of simplicity and for making it super simple to go with. And yeah, so that's all we go with right now. I'm gonna have like all of this here, so let's just copy the background color. So I'm gonna have like background dash color. It's gonna have all of these FFFs, and voila. So that should do the job for now. Let's just like return for the container. So footer, and I'm just gonna include the footer inside of the actual page. So I'm gonna index, I'm gonna have footer last but not least. So we can add actually a little bit of marginer. So direction, vertical again, margin. I'm gonna add 3 AM margin. And I'm gonna just import the footer and use it. Simple enough. That should be really simple. And voila, so we got our footer in here going all the way down, and it should actually include a little bit of more margin just for giving it a little bit of space. Okay, I mean 9. So you have got more bimmer, and you got that, so I think 8 will do a better job. So I think for the footer, I'm just gonna increase the size tiny bit. I don't know if that will actually fit correctly, but let's see, about 600 pixels. It should do a better job, okay? So 600 pixels would do definitely a better job when it comes to the actual footer thingy. Yeah, so let's just go and include, so take a look on the design first. So we got the logo in here, got, you know, the logo text, Bima, and whatever going on behind it. And for the logo, we got everything we need pretty much. So we got the LED text, we got the Bima logo, and everything else. So simply for this, I'm gonna be having first, so to just like align all the items to the center. So align items to the center of the footer, and I'm gonna have some marginer going on in here. So with direction, vertical, and margin to EM. Well, let's see. So we haven't put anything else or anything yet, just 3. Now I'm going to be including actually the logo, so let's super quickly include the logo. And we're not going to use any inline logo or something. And voila, we got Bima in here, but at some point it looks super huge, while on the footer it looks a little bit smaller compared to pretty much, you know, the top section or the top landing page container. So we have to figure out a way in order to make that happen. So through all the props, I make another prop called small, and if that small actually exists, you're just gonna like introduce a new width and a height for the image and everything else right here. So I'm just gonna copy this one. The same thing goes for this. So if small prop exists, so therefore we're gonna just like let me see, there's 5, so it's gonna use 5 EM, 5 EM again. Yeah, it should do the job right now. And margin rights, no, we don't need it. So with the font size and everything, so let's see. Yeah, that will actually include a little bit of like counterparty thingy. Yeah, let's see in here for the font size. So small, align if, otherwise just gonna use if small. I know this syntax will be super, you know, doesn't look that good, and you won't be able to understand it right. But yeah, just like use it for that particular case, just for sake of simplicity. So I'm gonna use 22 pixels, small, otherwise just leave it as it is. And here we are going to be extracting small prop and doing the same thing for the small. So just put that small there and put that here, and voila. So we got things working as expected. Just put small and that should do the job, but right now it doesn't do the job perfectly for this. So the logo text, yeah, I'm not passing that in, so we should pass it through using props. And yeah, now it looks way much better. So one thing actually I haven't noticed is I want to use some align items to always be let me see, flex direction column. So I'm just going to use justify contents to be center. That will actually work. So you have to do align items to be center all the time. So align items center. I'm just going to get rid of that, and that should do perfectly the job for us. Now I got BML. I'm just going to increase again the size of that, or the font size for this, for like another 25 pixels, and it should be better with a 24, pretty sure. Yeah. Now it's skadoosh. So we got the style. So this is actually how it looks like here. That's how it looks like here. At some point this still looks a little bit bigger, so I don't want to do that. So 4.5 and 4.5 EM here and there, and yeah, that should, so with 23 it's a bit smaller, 21, much better. Cool. Now after making this, let's go and create this magical texty thingy. Just gonna copy out this real quick. I think I already introduced this. I don't want to just like go ahead and make that goes all the way again. So we got, I think, top section. Where is it? So the top section got motivational text, and I'm just gonna copy this motivational text. Simple as that. Copy it, not go to the logo, go to the footer, and paste it right there. Okay, motivational text, H1 for the motivation text, and here I'm just gonna take it to 29 or even 28. Yeah, I'm gonna have some marginer again. I'm just gonna copy paste. I don't want to type this all over again. So 2, 1. I think 1 will do the job. And I'm gonna use some motivational text. So let's copy the whole text in here. Not actually the whole text, because, you know, just say the magical word. That is the first one. Okay, let's copy this and have, where is this? Yeah, everything, pretty much when you see the memes about developers actually having copy pasting jobs, well, we do, we all do. Just copy paste all the way around with no issues. So yeah, just say the magical word and we will do the rest. Well, at some point now the logo looks a little bit kind of tiny compared to the text here. I don't know why, but it does look like that. I think this way it looks better. Okay, I can even increase the logo at some point, so I can go here, I can go with like 4.8, and here we can go 22 pixels, and that would definitely make it look way much better with 23 pixels. Okay, just always increasing the font size and decreasing it, but never mind. So that is what it is looking like. It's almost as we want it to be. Now just only need the actual button that we used before, and also just some margin to introduce that. So I'm just going to use this. I'm going to make the button, import it real quick, and what is it? Oh, it's called start your project. Okay, so start the project. Really cool. And yeah, so we got the button here, got the text here. Just increasing that a bit will definitely give it a better looking. I don't know, but okay, that's what it seems like. It looks better right now, I think. And you've got like another chance for an accessibility or from a UX designer perspective. Well, people most likely just scroll from top to bottom. So they start looking here, they go all the way down, they read more about services, they go down, they read more about reviews, they get like more about Bima, and they become like more interested on it as they scroll all the way down the page, which means if they reach the footer, they will have a better chance clicking on the Start Your Projects button and getting started of like filling the application and registering your website much better than just like clicking it on the top right here. So always make sure to include some kind of like an engagement button down in the footer, because people are gonna just like through the landing page, read more as they scroll all the way down. So that is actually the point of having it all the way down on the footer. And the last thing here we're going to be adding actually pretty much well line here. So I'm just gonna create another line. Well, definitely not going to create it from scratch. I'm going to have, I think it's where is it? Okay, review card. We've got a liney thingy. Yeah, it's a line component. Sits down all the way down there. So we're gonna have that here. Gonna have line. And well, it's not on the about page, most likely. So we're gonna have it on the top section, or pretty much the footer. Okay, where is the footer? Just starting. All right. So this is actually the line. So line is gonna take 100%, which is okay. We will see. I don't think pretty much using a line will be a great job to do so, because well, let's just discard the line for now. Let's create another container, which is like details, or let's call it accessibility container. We're gonna style.div, and it's taking okay, we won't describe the width, just have it display flex for now. Just that's all it is. I'm just gonna have a borrowed top to it. Well, for the border top, we're gonna have something like this line. So this is pretty much, so the color, let's copy the color real quick. So we got it here. Border top, yeah, I have to introduce some border top. So 1 pixel solid. I think that should do the job perfectly. And yeah, we need to introduce more marginer here, like 2 AM. I don't know, not sure. So accessibility container is gonna have some text in here inside of it. Container. Go back. Well, we definitely haven't got everything as we want it to be, but yeah, we could go with something like width of 80%. Well, that definitely looks better. And I can have some padding, of course. So I can have padding from the top, obviously, or from both. Okay, we will see. So padding from the top of 6 pixels, and also I'm gonna have padding bottom here. So, or just like, yeah, we're not gonna be using bottom. We're just gonna be using, so padding right and left. So padding right and left, I'm gonna have 5 pixels, and padding left 5 pixels. All right. Cool. Take a look on it. It looks way much better. I can even increase this a bit, like with 1 pixel, and it definitely does look better. So I can use color of FFF. And now it should look definitely a better thingy. Okay. Cool. Just one point is just decrease the size right now. I don't know. I think. Yeah, it looks quite bigger, and I love it to become a bigger. So this way we can have it like for EM. It goes bit still right. Okay, so right now it does a better job perfectly. Now if you take a look, there's actually a privacy policy, terms of service, contact us, and a couple of different icons from all the way to the right. So we're gonna have 2 containers. So const, we're gonna have privacy container. So it's gonna be just a normal div with display of a flex. Okay, and we're gonna have social container. Well, this is actually gonna hold up all the social icons. I'm gonna have display flex. Okay, I just type display, and that is actually should be for the social. So just right now, just having like a flex box, so we could go into a row, and I can include const icon or social icon. So style.div, and we can have a color of FFF font size from, I don't know, 20 pixels. I think it does the job perfectly. And if we hover over this, we're gonna have like some color to, let's see, FFF, and let's use the color palette to choose a perfect color for it. I think it's kind of a grayish color. This way it does look better, I'm pretty sure. Just introduce some transaction. Alright, so, or transition, it's not a transaction. So I'm gonna have 200 milliseconds is in and out, and skadoosh, pretty cool right now. So let's have both of these containers, but before doing so, in the accessibility container, I'm actually gonna be introducing some, like, you know, exclusively there's some spacing in here, so we have to use flex space between. So if we do like, I think it's justify content. So justify content space between, it will do the job for us perfectly. And I can have like right now privacy container, and I can have social container. Now for the social container, I've got social icon, and for this we're gonna use the font awesome icon obviously. So I'm gonna have something like an icon font, well, yeah, I think we will go ahead and need to, like, we haven't installed pretty much the pack for the free social media icons. So I'll just go ahead and do that real quick. So just simply go ahead into Node here and make sure you go ahead and install, you do yarn add and just paste, where is that? Already got it. So for awesome free brands -svg icons, just add that and we are good to go. Now it's actually done. We can go ahead and install or using it. So go back here and have, I think, yeah, we have to manually import that. So we can do just import Twitter and LinkedIn from, well, definitely that. It should have that actually links as well as LinkedIn. Pretty cool. So we can go back here. So Twitter. Alright. And we got, let's just copy the whole thing in here. Just like copy paste it and LinkedIn. Cool. So let's double check here. And yeah, skadoosh. So we got here privacy, and we got here from like LinkedIn and Twitter, both. So I have to introduce some margin into the social icons, and I can do like not just like last, okay, of type. So if not lost of type, we're gonna just have like margin to the right of about 5 pixels, or even more, like 7 pixels, and that gives it, well, I think 11 pixels would do definitely a better job at some point. We also might need a little bit of, like, from the accessibility container, just need some padding from the left and the right. So right now, well, 8 pixels I think will do perfectly the job. And hallelujah, so we got here the icons. And here we just have to introduce some links using hyperlinks. So const privacy link. I'm just gonna use a link, okay? So style.a, and I'm gonna have like a color of the link, which is FFF, and if we hover over it, so color, just like does the same thing in here for that. So nothing a big deal. Also gonna copy that all the transactions for it. Just copy paste it real quick. And it got all the links. And also have just to copy this margin lefty thingy and paste it there. Super cool. Now I can get back into here and I can introduce some links. So I can say links privacy policy. I can have another link which is terms of service. And last but not least is actually contacts us. Okay. Well done. And there you go. So that's what we got. So last thing in here I have to do is actually change the cursor to pointer and make sure the font size is a little bit smaller, like 15 pixels. I think 15 is still huge. So 14. Yeah, much better. And the other thing for the accessibility is clearly there isn't much of padding on the top, so we can add a little bit of padding from the top right here. So padding from the top, 12 pixels. And yeah, it definitely does a better job. Not only for the icons, you have to use where is it? So just copy this, and boom. So we got cursor pointer right pointing right here for the LinkedIn and for the social media icons. Pretty well made. Now the last thing we have to introduce is just like all rights reserved by Bima, and that should be super simple just by introducing a position absolutes. So let's first mark this as position relative and mark that well, rights reserve it. Okay, so style.dev, I'm just gonna use a dev, not gonna be using a P or H heading or something. So for that, it's gonna have it use position absolutes. I'm gonna have from the bottom, well, let's say it's gonna have about 8 pixels. Okay, so now for the left, you're gonna have 50%. So we just do the thingy, and we're gonna have transform and translate this by x, like a -50%, so it gets right into the center. And this is actually one of the tricks of CSS. So you have to do it this way, and just introduce this here. I think I named it right. It's not right, it's rights. Okay, just copy out this. Just introduce an S. Okay, cool. Just where's the design again? So let me just zoom in a little quick. I'm just gonna copy this first, like the copyright sign. I think this is, I will need an HTML copyright sign, so I will Google that in a second. It definitely does not work, and it should be a white color. And also the font size should be like 12 pixels. Yeah, it definitely looks better. Now if we go ahead and take a look on the HTML copyright symbol code, just Google that out, it will do the job perfectly for you. So it is a copy. Yeah, I didn't know that, to be honest, but yeah, okay. So that's why Google exists anyway. And boom, we got our footer working, or just looking exactly as we want it to be. So the full application right now has been actually finished, from like getting started, from the top container, the background, and everything else. If we go back with this smooth scrolling thingy to the section, we go like on best quality software, we go all the way down to see reviews with this awesome carousel thingy. And yeah, from top to bottom to the about Bima. And last but not least is actually the footer, which is kind of looking cool with this logo and the start your projects button and everything else around it. So yeah, probably we have finished the web page. I know it took like forever to finish that out, but yeah, we did it. Like, that's super cool. Now the last thing left for us to do is actually make the website more responsive by any means. So which means right now it is more likely like a desktop website. But if you try to view it on a mobile device, or just like to change the aspect ratio to a mobile device or low resolution screens, well, definitely that won't help. It would just like look super crappy because we haven't applied any media queries to it. We haven't made it possible to use like any kind of like queries to make this responsible for responsiveness, pretty much. So if you expect that right now, and if you take a look on the toggle devices toolbar, it's clear to see I'm using iPhone X in here as a preset. I clearly see it does look pretty horrible. So yeah, it doesn't work at all in the responsiveness. So there's like some elements are big enough and it just doesn't make any sense anyway. So we have to go ahead and go through each section, each element, and try to figure out how to make that actually work the perfect way with the low resolution devices like a mobile device, obviously. So screws in here, this is actually how it looks like, but for some point I figured out that Chrome has some kind of a bug, so you have to refresh whenever you get to this device looking thingy, low res device. So you have to refresh it in order to get into the bottom out of it. So let's do that. We did that actually real quick to make that actually look or work as we expected it to be. So clearly like carousels doesn't work anyway. But what we have to do right now is pretty simple. So I'll just go and take a look and try to inspect a couple of elements. So I'm just going to take a look in here. So this is actually looking pretty great. So far so good. It has like a full width and a full height. So the problem here is actually the HTML taking a full width. But what we can do to make that actually fixable, have to fix some, parts of this. So let's first start with this text right here. So let's go to the other. Let me just go and close all the sections. So just to make things look a little bit tidier, and also well collapse everything. Go back SRC, home page, and go top section. Okay. Now for the motivational text in here, I'm going to be including. I'm just going to do. So text align to the center, and that should actually fix it right out of the bat. So nothing more, nothing less. As clear to the top section is like kind of doing the job perfectly, so there's no changes needs to be done for that. But right now for the service section, it's quite horrible, so you have to resize the images to make them fit better. So let's go to the service section, and if you go to our service, and here we're going to be introducing some media queries to make that work perfectly fine for us. So this is actually the service container. We got row reversed for some of them if it is reversed. Let's see, so we got the title, got details, and as far as I can tell, what we can do, you have to just like resize this and make the text get better. So we'll just introduce some media queries to this. So we can do like media screen, and so we can do I think maximum width for this. So I don't quite remember that, like a 4. Okay, I think yeah, we got that in the clipboard. So it's 480 pixels for the mobile device. It definitely just depends on what you want, like your standards, but mostly people use this kind of like 480 pixels for a mobile device as a maximum width. So you can have it right there, and here I can choose the width and the height. Well, they can become like 10 AM, and well, for 10 AM you can become, well, like 7 AM for the height, if that makes sense. So if you change that, clearly see the image got way much better, but still I want to just have it the same way there. So I don't have any problems with it if it just grows up a little bit. Okay, yeah, it does grow up a little bit. We also want to change how things actually are aligned. So here I see flex row, but we want to just introduce with the screen 480. So we can, let me just get rid of that with 100%, copy that again. So what we're going to be doing is flex direction to column. So I'm going to change it to flex direction column, or what you can better do using flex wrap is just like introduce flex wrap and make it wrappable, and it will do the wrapping for you. It's clear in here, it just like wraps all the elements whenever they have no space left for it. If we toggle this off, it's clear to see the wrapping goes off, but if you toggle it back on, since there is no space, it just wraps that. What we want is wrap reverse. So we want to just like do the reverse of the wrap. So we get the image first, then the text comes afterwards. And that's actually the actual target thing we were looking for. Now we can also introduce some margins and definitely just have some space for that. So let's see, description container max width. So I can paste that in. For the max width, I can change it to 100%. Definitely. As well as here for the details, now everything can take 100%. And this is actually rule number 1 when designing a responsive website, for pretty much, you know, having a full like responsive website. So that should be looking like. Now for some reason these are actually not centered, but I think I can do the job by centering them right in the middle. So actually this align items, let's see, justify contents for the center should do the job. But if we toggle this off, I don't know if this is still doing the job. Well, definitely not. So we have to wrap this using media queries. So justify content to the center, and voila. So here, go back, and we got everything centered right beneath each other's. So that is definitely looking much better for the responsive designy thingy. And definitely, if you just take a look on the actual title, or where is the title? So we can have like margin top 1 EM, or probably 2 or 3. It will definitely make, okay, 3 is too much, even 2 is too much, so 1.5 definitely. Also I want to increase some here, like 18 to 13. It will definitely look way much better. Okay, we're done with this services section, with the top section. And what's left is pretty much we need to fix this carousel thing, which could be a little bit tricky, to be honest, to go and fix it. So let's just go and figure out the review section. So here we got everything about the carousel and everything. So I'm just going to paste in the maximum width and just going to immediately change it to 100% right now. So for that particular point, if you take a look in here, as you see, it starts looking at some point, but we still got 2. What we want is actually make them go down to only 1. So only 1 review card will be visible at the time, not 2, because now we are limited on the resolution and the device width. So we have to do that this way. And for making this, we have to change this dynamically, and that's where the actual package of pretty much the React responsive package we have used comes handy. So we're just going to use, like, here is mobile, which is a boolean. We're going to use hooks. So use query or use media query, and we can just go and import this from React responsive. So use media query, just import it from React responsive. And we can just reuse it right now throughout the hooks, as I said. So use media query, and this takes up an object. So we have to provide the query attribute to it. And this one is actually the same as the CSS query. So all we have to do is just copy this part of maximum width and just paste it in right in here. And it's just going to detect for us if it is mobile or not on every single re-render or every single resize. So every single resize, all of your components are going to be re-rendered automatically, which is pretty great. Now here, if it is mobile, if we're going to do 1, otherwise, yeah, just leave it as 2. If you go back here, so you see here, it immediately changes and we got only 1 single section pretty much working as we want it to be. But still the height is a little bit low. So we also want to do, if it is mobile, so just double check that. If it is actually a mobile, I'm going to have to just do like 220. So compared to when it's not. Also want to increase this a little bit to 40. 260. Alright, let's just see. Too much. I think 250 will definitely do a better job. So clearly, if you click on it, it just like moves in and moves out, and we got only one single card depending on that particular case. So yeah, looking pretty good so far. Now for the title one here, as clearly see, it doesn't actually fit correctly, so you have to make sure to align it to the center. So if you go to section title, and we can include as well some media queries. Let me just copy my media query right here. I'm going to retype this. So just, and well, for this one we can do just text align center, and it should be centered perfectly for us, as well as this one, as well as all the others, and it should definitely make it look 100% better. So yeah, as clearly seen here, it looks way much better. And last but not least, we are going to be fixing the more about us section. As clearly see, the illustration is quite big and the text is not visible at all. So what we can do, just get back here, go to, where's that, more about section, and we can fix that real quick. So I don't know, so more about container, we can let me just get rid of this minimum height thingy, which doesn't make any sense, to be honest. Or like just, we will see about that in a second. For the width, if it is like this, just leave it 100% width. If about container, so where's the image? I'm just gonna use this, and I'm just gonna take the width all the way down to 200 pixels. I think 200 pixels is quite overrated. I think here 70 pixels. Still definitely not the best, but let's see, 200 with 300. 300 with 200, okay? It looks better, but we have just like to do a column looking like thingy, so we have to reverse here. We'll just introduce flex wrap. We can do wrap, reverse, and well, it's not doing the job perfectly. I don't know, for some reason. So we can do flex direction, column, reverse. Still not looking as we want it to be. Well, because yeah, I'm actually the idiot guy. I have to put this one as well as the flex reverse or wrap reverse right into the about container in order to make it work. And voila, it does work perfectly. And also we want to expand that a little bit, like 350 with 250. 290. Okay, 70. And it definitely looks way much better. Now for the text, it doesn't have any boundaries, so we have to provide some boundaries. Like we got max width in here, what we want to have with this one, we're going to have is actually change the max width to 100%. And let's try to introduce some padding to it. So we can have padding of 1 EM here and there, and it definitely looks way much better right now. So yeah, 100% better, and everything should be aligned as far as I can tell. Align items. Also, let's try justify content to be in the center. Let me just toggle this off to make sure. I don't know if that still actually works. Definitely not at some point. I clearly have no idea why, but let's just take a look on it again. Alright, so what did we do wrong here? We haven't actually introduced anything yet to that. So flex direction is still Yeah, because I've got flex wrap reverse. Okay, I can do it better, I think, using flex column, and I can do like a max width of 100%. Well, now here still looks pretty great. If we toggle out this, yeah, we got this better looking thingy, which does 100% better job. So yeah, at some point this is looking absolutely much better. If we go to the iPhone X, there you go. So we got it centered right, and now exclusively, if you have noticed, the website got much better because we got the full website getting into the full edge, like it takes the full width of the website, because we fixed some styles that were overlapping over each other's. So that is actually a great job to do right here in that particular case. So without further ado, the last thing I think is to fix is pretty much the footer. Well, as far as I can tell, there isn't much of things going on in the footer, but there are some. If you go to the footer right down, so where is the footer? So index.gsx, and what we've got. All right, let me just check that out. So we got the accessibility container. We got, it takes full width and height. I can just decrease the size of the margin between of these, so we can have definitely less margin. So let me just margin right about 3 pixels, as well as goes with the links. So here we can change that out again. So margin right, like let's go with 4 pixels. I think it's way much better. As well, we want to decrease, let's see, also we want to decrease some, so we can either put the media query back again, which I think it's much better to do. So we can decrease the font size to either 11 or 12 pixels. That will give them a better chance of standing out. Yeah, they look definitely better. We also want to do that, the same thing. So let's just copy this real quick and just put it on the social icon. And want to change the font size of the social icon and to 40 pixels. Okay, it clearly looks way much better. Let me just zoom that in like 150%, and definitely can check it out with this. Okay, 125, still can't actually check it out. Yeah, here, well, I'm just gonna change one thing, is actually for the accessibility container, and I'm just gonna put this media query and make sure the width is actually 100%. And also, I don't want to make any padding throughout the footer, so if there's any padding, does it? By the way, let me just get this out because we don't need it. And there's actually a lot of padding. So padding left will be like 5 pixels, and padding right will be, I don't know why there isn't actually equivalent padding. 5 pixels. Well, yeah, it should do the job right now. So no padding whatsoever, but we have to increase that a bit to 8. So they look a bit better. And also let me just increase the margin between of these because they actually look absolutely horrible. Like almost non-readable thing happening there. And we can even increase it a little bit by 9 pixels. And as well for the social icons, because they're looking kind of a messy thing. So just a tiny bit, like 9 again. And voila! So we got our footer fixed at some point. And yeah, everything looking absolutely fine. But still, we got some kind of an issue, which is this kind of an edge. I don't know why it's actually causing this. So there should be something causing this edge. I think this is actually the more about us section. It does have some constraints or something, I don't know. Let me just, so this is more about us, and I think, where's the padding? Okay, there's some padding here. Does it do with the minimum height? Clearly not. I can't actually figure out what is actually going on. But let's try to debug this pretty much to see what's causing the style overlapping, style issues. We can pretty much delete that. Clearly see, after deleting this section, we got everything back to normal. We got the full website restoring its normal. So we can get it back and we can figure out what was causing it, okay? What is it doing that? Why? And so this is actually the section. I'm just gonna deep dive into it and check more about it. And there you go. So this is pretty much the image overlapping. And it has, I think, too much width. Yeah, definitely. I don't know why this margin does exist, but we can definitely go back into, well, let's see. So it's called more about us section, and we can fix this overlapping by just like fixing out this one. So we can do margin left 0. Let's see, just like refresh that. Let me just check how it is. And boom, so we got things actually fixed with the website, and we got responsive website, fully responsive website pretty much from scratch on this, actually working with CSS standards. Just a little bit of, we use some media queries on React with React responsive, but not that much. It's just like pretty simple. So yeah, not really that much of like hard thing to implement. But yeah, we got actually this review section working. If you can just go and download this website and pretty much try it out on your phone, you're gonna find it looking absolutely amazing. Clearly in here, you just like have the full immersive phone kind of like, you know, quality thing. What I'm just checking right now, just one more thing, is just like this kind of line of thingy. I can change it up. I don't know, the footer. So instead of taking the full width or the full height, pretty much, can make it take 90%, which could make things go a little bit better. Yes, it does. Definitely it does. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. Clearly see we implemented the full responsive website in a full video. Using React, of course, and using a couple of different libraries. But anyway, guys, thank you guys for watching. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video tutorial. If you like this kind of type of video tutorials, because right now I'm intending to make more long video tutorials for you guys, like a full video tutorial to learn from scratch, like from zero to hero, to implement something really cool like this and to get started with it. So if you liked it, if you want more like this, if you know, like more awesome designs like this, well, let me know in the comments. I'll be very happy to make you guys more like that. But anyhow, guys, see you guys hopefully in the next couple of video tutorials. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. Push the like button, of course, just gonna cheer me up all day. And yeah, see you guys hopefully in the next video tutorials. Goodbye.